Over 20 years ago, Alex Jones created the media platform called InfoWars, and in the decades since, it's grown into a truly remarkable institution with over 200 radio affiliates, tens of millions of unique website visitors monthly, and a 24/7 live news TV channel broadcasting from state-of-the-art studios in Austin, Texas. InfoWars has become the most trusted independent news source in the country, dedicated to delivering breaking news, live coverage of special events, and exclusive reports you won't find anywhere else. While the old guard media struggles to maintain supremacy in a landscape rocked by innovation and technology, InfoWars has been at the forefront of the information revolution. From 8 million radio listeners, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, or the billions of views of our online content, InfoWars proves dominant in every facet of media we enter. For the hardest-hitting reports, uncompromising analysis, for high-profile interviews and bombshell revelations, accept no substitutes. Demand truth. Demand InfoWars. InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today.
Dragon Energy activate. Let's wind the clocks back 5 years. Regardless of your political affiliation, your political beliefs, anyone that you would have talked to would have said that the United States government is corrupt, there is a shadow government, and they don't like it. They'd like to do something about it. People have known this for years. A lot of people thought they voted for Obama to end such a state. Wasn't the case. And so imagine a deep state, shadow government, corruption at the FBI, corruption at the CIA. 5 years ago, you could have asked just about anyone, and they would have probably said, yep, CIA, FBI, don't trust them. Washington, D.C. is deeply corrupt. Now, what do you think it would look like if someone actually decided to fight back against it? What do you think it would look like if we, the people, actually decided to do something about it? What do you think that would look like? It looks like everything that you're seeing today. That's where we are. And it's just amazing to me that people can't see it yet. Russian collusion? I mean, really, Obama having a hot mic conversation that he didn't think would get aired, talking about, oh, when I get reelected, we'll meet with Putin. We'll get the things done. Oh, yeah. Nobody cared. Hillary Clinton receives $140 million from Russian donations to her foundation. Bill Clinton gets $500,000 for a speech. Hillary Clinton makes the Uranium One deal with Robert Mueller. Nothing. No Russian collusion, no complaints, no media outrage, no Democrat outrage, radio silence. Oh, but there's a picture of Jeff Sessions and Lavrov. Oh, Trump's colluding. Oh, Trump had a meeting, a one-on-one meeting with Putin. He's putting Russia ahead of the United States. And this is what people are saying. This is what people believe. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. So everything you're seeing is what pushback looks like. Everything you're seeing is what it looks like when you actually try to take on the corrupt government. That's what you're seeing right now. And you've got a news cycle that's so tight that yesterday's congressional hearings on social media censorship is like old news. I mean, because that's how fast things are moving now. And Trump today has just been just savage on Twitter, just absolutely savage on Twitter. In fact, maybe I should just read Trump's tweets at some segment today. But in the next segment and in the first hour, we're going to be hearing from Alex Jones. He's going to give you the latest breaking news on what happened yesterday with the Drudge Report getting shut down and the Breitbart story highlighting how, or excuse me, the Gateway Pundit story highlighting how Breitbart was also shut down. Alex is going to be breaking down why the Democrats are in such a panic. But again, you have to understand, none of the media people cared about Obama or Hillary or anyone talking to Russians, quote unquote, colluding. There is no collusion until Trump did it. Trump has mostly said what every other politician has said at some point, except he's actually doing it. This is what the American Revolution looks like. This is what taking down the deep state looks like. Alex Jones on the other side.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
It is Wednesday, July 18th, 2018, and I come to you with the most dire of news. Our republic is hanging by a thread. Multinational globalist forces allied with and funded by communist authoritarian China have hacked all of our government computers, all our government secrets, all the government asset codes, their assets. We have been set up for a fall. In the 11th hour, patriots in our country and in our intelligence agencies and in our corporations rallied to get President Trump elected right when the deep state was planning to finish America off in 2017 and 18. It's in all the WikiLeaks. They have now been for over a year and a half trying to foment insurrection and civil war in this country. And they've been trying to push the narrative that President Trump is somehow a Russian agent. They have intensified their calls for him to be killed or for him to be removed under the 25th Amendment or under a military coup on MSNBC, CNN, and every other major channel. Traitors at Fox News have all weighed in except for Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and viciously lied about the president and stabbed him in the back. I am afraid for my nation and I'm afraid for my family. I personally am not afraid myself. I am afraid for the society that doesn't deserve President Trump. Trump has put himself in the center of unprecedented attacks in history, unprecedented lies, unprecedented deception, and they are now launching the ignition phase. You can smell it, you can see it, they're admitting it, to remove President Trump by this fall. Now, Clapper and Brennan said at the Aspen Institute with Wolf Blitzer last year that they would remove him by the Christmas break. They tried that coup. It failed. They are now back on television, not just at policy forums, but on mainline TV saying, overthrow him, U.S. military. They have all of their Democrat operatives, Alexandria, Cortez, and others, we'll play this in a moment, saying, occupy federal buildings, occupy ICE, occupy the border, blow off the doors of the castle, which was an old communist Chinese weatherman plot that was discovered in the 70s. People went to prison for it. She is executing the weatherman plot. Soros and the UN are down in Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, massing hundreds of thousands to flood, which will then open up for millions. This is the takedown plan, just like you've seen in Europe with 10 million military-aged men the last 5 years and the implosion there and the UN setting up bases now to, quote, deal with the crisis they created inside Spain and other areas where the EU has ordered them to let in millions more, and millions more are on the way. Eastern Europe is valiantly fighting back as hordes descend upon them. The globalists have collapsed the third world and are now using it as a massive battering ram to take down the West. Now, on record, Communist China received the Office of Personnel Management files on 21.4 million U.S. government employees, their families, their assets, CIA, NSA, and 14 other intelligence agencies. We have been sold out. The Panama Canal, all deepwater ports, all rare earth minerals have been given to China. It is off limits for U.S. companies. They will be indicted under Bush and then Obama if they even try to engage in it. Only multinational corporations are allowed to be tax exempt. Apple has officially moved to China and given the code keys to everyone's iPhones and iCloud and bank accounts to the Chinese government officially. Emojis of Taiwan are not allowed to be sent. They're having, by U.S. citizens. Until it got lifted a few days ago, it was a little too obvious. Congress just had hearings in the Judiciary Committee lying about InfoWars, Diamond and Silk, and others, calling for a complete ban of conservatives online. It's already happened. They've already governed it back, regulated it back over 90%. They are making their move, ladies and gentlemen, right now. And we've never been in a more critical position historically. Trump has proven himself by going in and removing some of the barriers the globalists had put to shut down our economy, to bankrupt Americans and force us onto welfare and food stamps, the admitted Cloward and Piven plan in WikiLeaks to make us poor and dependent. Read Hillary's own statements. But they've changed the subject onto who hacked the emails. Nice magician's misdirection, isn't it? They've changed the subject about why she had an illegal Dropbox server, why she received $3 billion, mainly from foreign governments, to put super secrets on that server daily, just like you do putting it under a park bench or behind the bushes in the old days if you were a spy. But she's not a spy. She's a mercenary. She's a demolition expert bringing down this country. And on our deathbed, as America was being prepared for race war and societal disintegration and women being turned against the men and complete collapse, Donald Trump was recruited by patriots 2 years before he even announced his run. When the military did a soft coup on Obama and said we're not going to back al-Qaeda in Syria, he was recruited. And we are here trying to save the country. We are Americans. We are patriots. We are not the wicked CNN that supports China's sale of human organs of Christians and Buddhists. We do not support all of this sickening behavior and anti-American behavior by the big universities in Hollywood. We are fighting with everything we've got. And it makes me so sad to see so many Americans get the talking point that was sent out that Trump was a traitor for even meeting with Putin in private, which U.S. presidents have done for decades. Hell, back to World War II with Russian leaders. That's the president's prerogative. And Congress wants to subpoena the interpreter, and they're acting like it's all criminal and saying he's the traitor when they're the globalist. They're the people that openly hate the country. They're the people that hate the bitter clingers, that hate flyover country. And Democrat courts ban the American flag and say it's a gang symbol in public schools. Ninth Circuit. They're the ones trying to bring in brainwashed, collapsed third world populations that are communists out of Venezuela. Venezuela has had 4 million people the last 6 months, according to their own numbers, leave, and they're going El Norte. And they're so dumbed down, they want to come where they think the communism's better. It's happening. So, let's play this clip of Alexandria Cortez saying, occupy government buildings, borders, U.S. airports. Occupy it all. That's a communist term. Occupy. Shut down the infrastructure for the civil unrest I told you that's coming. They are planning to launch a civil war, and July 4th, in their own admissions, was the demarcation line. Here she is.
I believe the moral character of the United States is at stake. So for me, it wasn't a question of whether I should go down there. If we have to have a rapid response, and I think every day that we go on, especially a day when something that heinous happens, we have to occupy all of it. We need to occupy every airport. We need to occupy every border. We need to occupy every ICE office until those kids are back with their parents, period.
The kids you told to come here, the kids, many of them, their parents were killed coming through Mexico. You don't care. Hundreds of thousands dead over there. Never a discussion of that. You dictate America's moral authority as a rich girl posing as a poor girl selling communism and socialism. What a monster. So that's where we are as a culture. That's where we are as a society. And I'm going to lay out here their battle plan and what they're going to do. And I want to break something down here. I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. I'm not trying to have Google and Facebook and Twitter let me share all my posts. If I wanted to do that, I'd be a propagandist for the enemy. The fact that they are initiating against every libertarian, every conservative, every nationalist, every pro-gun group, every pro-Trump group, total draconian censorship. And suddenly Fox News isn't carrying many of Trump's speeches, shows they're going to go for broke again, just like they did last fall. But if we're aware of it, and if we get the word out, they won't be able to execute it. That's why they hate us. But the ignition phase, primary ignition, they've lit the fuse. That's what that means in coup parlance and nomenclature and in the legal vernacular of the CIA. So we are here with foreign multinationals backed by the Chi-Coms. They're in Chinese papers bragging. They're at Davos saying, we'll defeat Trump, we'll defeat America. The EU, the unelected Juncker, the Nazi heir with the Chi-Coms, all against America. Which side are you on? Now, when we continue, I'm going to break down what the president needs to do to counter this, in my humble opinion. Now, what does the president need to do? I understand subtlety. It's my job not to be subtle. I'm a shock troop. You're shock troops. You get bullied, you get attacked, you get discriminated against because you love freedom. You tell the truth. You know communism's a horrible, evil system. You support America. You support the better ideas of America. You support Martin Luther King's idea of unity and true ideas and what you stand for, not what color you are. Everything the weaponized corporate left is the 180-degree polar opposite of that. And they're trying to circumnavigate the success of liberty and freedom and hope we don't have a memory of history or the things they've done. But I know the president understands that if he comes out and says we've been penetrated by China, our major 50 public universities were run by Chinese intelligence. I couldn't even believe the Washington Post admitted that 2 months ago. I've been talking about that for years. The Office of Personnel Management, all our files were handed over by Obama 5 years ago. We are wide open. That would tank the stock market. China owns our debt. The CFR positioned us for the Chinese century. We were set up between the EU, the big banks, and China to be looted, to be controlled, to be brought to heel, to be dominated. And then to only be a military set piece that they fully controlled to keep China in line. But the double cross was so huge in the global government program that they actually put China in the catbird seat, and all the top globalists moved to China and bought houses there and have become dual citizens. And that's why Apple and all of them have officially moved there. Do you understand the level of treason I am breaking down to you and your family right now? This is all fact. When I read 4 months ago in Reuters where they said, well, it's normal. Tim Cook of Apple said, we moved to China. And the government runs you there. Now we're tax exempt. U.S. had 40% tax. China had 15. We went to 15. They went to 0. But they said, you got to be state run. And what had already been done behind the scenes went public. Do you understand the magnitude? If Trump gave the Office of Personnel Management files to Russia, if he allowed Apple to move to Russia, I would call for his impeachment. In fact, I would call for high treason charges, which I call for all these globalists that have done it. But Donald Trump didn't do that. He was steadfast. He believed in free market. He believed in America. He believed in pragmatically turning on the free market and trying to free these countries and trying to make a deal with North Korea and actually help their people with development. But these cults of power, they don't want that. And Communist China's trying to block that. And the left is celebrating, betting on China, saying, oh, China controls the North. You'll never get them to come into the light. You'll never get them to come out of the dark. You'll never get them to come in out of the cold. You'll never get them to free their people. Ah, ha, ha. And I watch Hollywood and the left and these cynical, evil people laughing at America and doing all these evil things. Oh, yeah, China's the new IMF, the new World Bank. They're the new robber baron. They're the new economic hitmen. They go in. They're the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan all bragged last year. They said, you'll never save America. We're giving them unlimited money. They've built dozens of cities bigger than Austin, Texas, that no one even lives in. There's just huge empty buildings. And it's for the West. They say when we collapse America, the rich Americans will come here and join the party. And they've done it. They've bet on 1.5 billion slaves. They've bet on China that didn't even have running water 60 years ago, didn't even have sewage in 90+%. Now they have everything. all our secrets, everything. And this is what they've done to our country. And then I sit there and I watch these people piss on our desperate deathbed struggle, rallying like I saw my grandmother rally a month before she died. She went down to like 80 pounds. She looked like the Crypt Keeper, beautiful woman. My mother said, look, I can't believe it. She came back from the dead, basically. And then she wanted to talk to us, wanted to talk about things, and then she died. About a month later, she gained some weight back, but then died. And, you know, I really think the communists and the globalists, all of them might just win, actually. And they're going to bankrupt the country and have race wars, and the left won't even care. They don't even know because they were trained like ducks, like baby goslings, baby goose, ducklings, baby ducks. They imprinted on hating America. They were brought up that their ideology, because they were intellectual elites, even though they have nothing and are nothing, was hating God, hating America, hating John Wayne, hating at least those ideals of George Washington, because they're such beta followers. And they sold them on a system. You can be a traitor. You can be a scumbag. You can be a piece of filth. And if you just go along with the system, you can then take all those alpha males and all those guys with the big barrel chests and the good-looking wives and the guys that built all this, and you can rule over them. And then you're run by the communist Chinese and the big CFR Rockefeller Foundation that he wrote in the New York Times, and when Mao died, the editorials online, just type in David Rockefeller's praise for Mao Zedong when he died in the late 70s. And he says, China is the model for the future. China is what we're going to do to America. But America will serve China, and I just admire Chairman Mao. Even though Chairman Mao was hated by the Chinese communists when they removed him and put his wife in prison, and he died on house arrest because they learned he was a CIA OSS agent and was actually planning their long-term sabotage as well, and a triple-cross secret nuclear attack with Russia. And it's true what Trump said. The Chinese communists have outmaneuvered our elites because our elites just think in 10-year cycles, not 50 or 100. And so they hated America because they were trained to hate America because the robber barons 120 years ago couldn't beat the American spirit. So they said, we'll finance public school, we'll make people hate America. And so they were just tailor-made with this education system to be overtaken by foreign enemies that will slit their throats in a minute. The minute the U.S. goes down, in that whole process, China's going to get all these globalists to run over there, and then within a decade, they'll take everything they've got as well. Just the cold-blooded, psychotic, almost robot, reptilian-like evil of communism melded with the worst attributes of the lesser angels of Chinese culture, has created the ultimate abomination. God help us is all I can say. God help us. We are under total attack. This is our country under total attack. And 150 years ago, royalty was being thrown out in Europe, so they financed the communists to calm the serfs who were being freed off the land back into another communal system. And the poor peasants bought it up. It's like putting cyanide in baby's milk. The baby doesn't know. So this is where we stand. I want to go to a few more of these clips, but right now, they're totally ending free speech on the internet. Right now, they're calling for violence against conservatives and libertarians. Right now, they're saying remove the president, military coup, killing. And we need to be talking about what the president needs to do because, Mr. President, I understand you want to be confident, you want to fix the economy, you want to show folks that, but in a country where even our poor people are better off than a lot of folks in third world countries, people have the identity of hating you and hating America more than they want to be independent and wealthy. You've got to square with them and just come out about the Office of Personnel Management hack, the sellout to the Communist Chinese. You got to go ahead and tell the Chinese because they're not backing down. You got to go ahead and tell them with the traitors like Phil Mudd and Brennan and all the scum of the earth that was put in there and Obama that's quarterbacking all this, that you're not going to get away with a daylight coup and saying all of us that support freedom are Russian agents because we want to bring America back and do all this. Russia is in the globalist crosshairs because it too is a sovereign country out of their control. Doesn't mean they don't have their own problems or have corruption, but they're not anti-Christian. They're not anti-Western now. And the globalists know that Russia got away from them after 87 years of being brutalized. And they're aware of what's unfolding. So let me get into some of these important clips now, and then I have some other key points I've not made yet. Let's go ahead and just play this little clip, because at the same time he's saying, oh, the intelligence agencies are really great people, the lights go out. You can see they're clearly dimmed on purpose. Was it a stunt, an SOS by the president? Tucker Carlson points out that his statement was like that of a kidnapped man, of a man held hostage, a hostage letter, a hostage tape. The lights go out, but at the same time, DrudgeReport.com, Infowars.com, ZeroHedge.com, and Breitbart.com, and others selectively had their DNSs turned off where no one can go to the websites for 1 hour. 60 minutes exactly turned off. In a statement that we have the internet kill switch, and Trump needs to take back control. They built back doors into this. They gave it to China. Brennan, all the Obama people still are in the national security system that is totally illegal, totally panopticonic, absolutely beyond Big Brother to infinity. And now that's going on. So here's the president with the lights going off, ladies and gentlemen. And then we've got his hostage statement. So this is where we are. And you can have America, you can have prosperity, you can have free market worldwide, 1776 worldwide, freedom for everybody, the Chinese, the Indians, the Mexicans, the Germans, the Russians, humanity. Or we can have big corporate anti-human depopulation that you see everywhere. The choice is up to you. So here's Trump with the lights going off, and then we'll play back-to-back the clip of him when he basically says, oh, I meant, oh, these agencies, the same one run by Obama, run by Brennan, run by Clapper, that have all been caught lying, that lied about spying on him, that were in bed with Russia, uranium, just anything evil, they do it. And then they turn it around. It's sick. It's a fraud. It's a hoax. And again, the internet censorship's kicking in right now because they're making their move. The globalists are gearing up right now. This is it. And then if we back them off this time, they'll try again next year. But they're committed. I can feel it. I can see it. They're making their move. Let's go ahead and go to these clips.
By saying that, once again, the full faith and support for America's intelligence agencies. I have a full faith in our intelligence agencies. Whoops, they just turned off the light. That must be the intelligence agencies. There it goes. Okay. You guys okay? Good. That was strange.
It was big news back during the campaign that Google was rigging stuff for Hillary and that CNN was rigging debates. But now the media is like, oh, we're just banning all the conservatives. It's okay. They're bad people. Diamond and Silk, Alex Jones. And the Republican congressmen sit there in hearings and go, okay, well, I guess it's your own company. Just ban everybody. And then lie about them. And then attack them. And then call for the overthrow of the president. We're in an information war. Here's the president, as Tucker Carlson said, being held hostage yesterday, basically reversing himself when he didn't buy into Russian, meddling is the reason he won. Give me a break. Hillary was in bed with Russia. But now, oh my God, he's this big traitor siding with Russia, even though he's bringing the country back. If he doesn't say it, so they demonize him.
I have felt very strongly that while Russia's actions had no impact at all on the outcome of the election, let me be totally clear in saying that, and I've said this many times, I accept our intelligence community's conclusion that Russia's meddling in the 2016 election took place. Could be other people also. There's a lot of people out there. There was no collusion at all.
Now, look at what they do. They make a guy that came from nowhere in politics wins. The economy turns around a year and a half later. All these good things are happening. And they say, oh, it's the Russians. And it's the perfect way to persecute the American people. And talk show hosts, they've called Tucker Carlson a Russian agent to his face on Fox News. They've called Rand Paul a Russian agent. Rand Paul got threatened just this week by CNN saying, oh, what are you with Putin now? By Wolf Blitzer. This is the insanity. Russia can't even get its traffic lights working in half its country. China is who sold us down the river. China is who the globalists have been allied with. China is the issue, and everybody knows that in any policy paper. So some of the other key points here, I'm going to come back with the whole Tucker Carlson situation because there's only a few patriots out there left, and I'm so ashamed of the other Fox News people and the rest of them, but thank God there's still some patriots, and they need to be praised. And thank you, the listeners out there, for your being awake as well. There is a coup against Trump taking place now in full swing. This is the ignition phase. He needs to get involved with the internet kill switch. They're clearly testing to shut down DNSs of Patriot websites entirely. First, they have to shut us down on the social networks first. And again, this is a beta test for everybody, but they're making their move. Trump must tell the American people about how the Democratic Party and the globalists are allied with China and just go ahead and bring it out. That we're penetrated by the Chi-Coms. I know the intelligence agencies tell you don't do it, and they're the ones that help get you elected, the Patriot groups, but this is emergency surgery. You've got to, they're saying you're a foreign asset, President Trump. You've got to bring out that they're the foreign assets. I mean, anybody that's got two brain cells rubbed together, we know you're a patriot, we know you're Americana, good Lord, but everybody knows that about me. But you still got to tell the public and hit them with the fact that they are what they say you are. They're projecting. They're flipping it. So you must tell the American people. I know they're planning to crash markets and try to hold you hostage. And so that's why you've been trying to just nicely share power and say, come on, let's not destroy America. That's not fair in public and in private meetings. He's like, why do we have a 280% tariff on our milk to Canada? And then everybody says, screw America. Why does China have huge tariffs? No. Why are you out to get America? Let's just have prosperity. Let's have global victory. Let's have free market, because they don't want free market. The big billionaire, trillion controlling companies want total power and control, ladies and gentlemen. And as Tucker Carlson said, the president is more and more being held hostage. He believed in us. He believed we would rally. He believed we would want freedom. He believed we would see through the lies, and a lot of us have. But big tech has brought in total censorship to dial back his reach, to dial back our resistance. A lot of conservatives are asleep thinking, oh, everything's fine, Trump's in, when the real war just started. We only got a beachhead a year and a half ago. This is the main war. This is the Battle of the Bulge. This is the Nazi counterstrike. All right. Again, I'm going to do another live feed here coming up with Tucker Carlson and what's happening there. And this is where you choose what side you're on. They're making their move, ladies and gentlemen. They say they're in a civil war. They say they want mass death. They say they want to teach, they're trying to get minorities to be basically KKK members and say, kill white people. It's on. The media, Hollywood, Chi-Coms, the EU, the big banks against America. This is it. You're going to get prosperity and freedom and incredible things if you just join America. My God, you were born here in this country, most of you. What the hell's your problem? And a lot of immigrants coming here, they understand they were fleeing tyranny. They're really upset. This is history happening. So people better wake up, because the fight is now.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
I'm not going to list the individuals on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News that defamed and besmirched our president and that lied about him and that engaged in aiding and abetting the globalist combine that's trying to bring this country down. Instead, I want to recognize the individuals the last 2 days who publicly stood up for President Trump and told the truth. Senator Rand Paul, former Congressman Dr. Ron Paul, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and the listeners of this broadcast. You better believe that Sean Hannity, because I know this for a fact, and Tucker Carlson have been threatened with their jobs, even though they're top rated, if they don't get with the Russia narrative. The other host rolled over like a big old fat dead fish in the sun floating around in the water. And it makes me sad for them. Trump is an American. Trump is taking America back from the globalists that are allied with the Chi-Coms. Trump is a patriot. And I just want to say, I'm not a sunshine patriot. I'm a winter soldier. And I 1,000% support the president. I 1,000% know a man by his enemies, and I've seen him get limited control of our government and things turn around. And he knew it would turn around because they were artificially suppressing this country. epic history is happening right now. The globalists have an internet kill switch Obama put in. Brennan, all of them still have control of it. The deep state is filled with a bunch of people like Reality Winner, who wanted to join ISIS and hated all white people when she was white. We are overrun by the filth the universities have produced for 2 generations to finally bring America down. And they launched their attack with Hillary and in the last minute failed. They failed in that battle. They are now launching counterstrikes, ladies and gentlemen. You can say what you want about me or Trump or Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity, but we believe in free market. We believe in America. We believe in this republic. Why not? It's 1,000 times better than communist China or the EU or Venezuela. And this is where we're from. And they teach us that it's stupid, it's quaint to love America or love free market in these universities that have become engines of anti-free speech and evil. And now they're all over the news saying, overthrow the president. Tucker Carlson's right. Trump was like a captured man when he made those statements, knowing it's Brennan and all those people with all their fake intelligence caught spying on him illegally, the people that ran America in the ground by design. Our military enforces world government. China economically takes over. So let's go to Tucker Carlson and the courage of telling the truth.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight we just landed from Helsinki, back in the nation's capital where it is hot and intense. We're going to have our full extended interview with the president from Helsinki. We're going to show that to you in just a minute. We asked him, of course, about Russia, but there are, believe it or not, many more important and pressing issues on the world stage, not just Russia. And we asked the president about those as well. We'll bring the whole thing to you coming up in just a second. But first, tonight, with remarkable speed and intensity, the media, the foreign policy establishment, both political parties, have come together as one to attack the president for his meeting yesterday with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. Anderson Cooper, John McCain, Mitt Romney, they all described the president's remarks about Russia as disgraceful. Former CI director John Brennan called those remarks treasonous and grounds for impeachment. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer announced that Trump was being blackmailed by a foreign power. Others accused him of being a sleeper agent, a spy. One member of Congress from Tennessee called for a military coup against the presidency. Well, as the rage storm swirled, the president bowed to the inevitable, genuflecting before U.S. intelligence agencies whose judgment must never be questioned, and recited the now obligatory oath of loyalty to the spy bureaucrats now in charge of our country. Watch.
In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So, just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't, and the sentence should have been, and I thought I would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia. Sort of a double negative. So you can put that in, and I think that probably clarifies things pretty good by itself.
So that's the hostage tape. The president buckled to criticism. I don't know what they're saying. That's exactly what happened. He buckled. And that happens. This is politics, after all. What is amazing and unusual and ominous is who made him buckle. The people yelling the loudest about how the Russians are our greatest enemy and Trump is their puppet happen to be the very same people who have been mismanaging our foreign policy for the past 2 decades. The people who invaded Iraq and wouldn't admit it was a mistake. The people who killed Muammar Gaddafi for no obvious reason and prolonged the horrible Syrian civil war and then threw open the borders of Europe. The ones still defending the pointless Afghan conflict and even now planning brand new disasters around the world in Lebanon, Iran, and yes, in Russia. These are the people who've made America weaker and poorer and sadder. The group whose failures got Trump elected in the first place. You would think by this late date they would be discredited completely and unemployable, wearing uniforms and picking up trash by the side of a turnpike somewhere. But no, they're
They think
not.
we don't have memory.
They're hosting cable news shows. They're holding high
They work for the
positions.
Chi-Coms. Of course they're trying to wreck us.
They run virtually every nonprofit public policy institution in Washington. They are still, in some sense, in charge of our national conversation. And naturally, they hate the idea of rethinking or correcting any of the countless blunders they have
What
made.
they hate is the idea of a president that's actually president. That's why they're pissed.
He calls them on those blunders. Now, being Trump, he can't always explain precisely what he means to say. Sometimes he gets the details wrong, or he gets sidetracked with some personal vendetta, as if anybody cares about that ridiculous Jim Acosta guy. Nobody does. But on the big questions, Trump is indisputably right. The Cold War is over. The world has changed. It is time to rethink America's alliances.
God, thank God there's still people that aren't total traitors.
Russia is not a close friend of the United States. But the question is, why should we consider Russia a mortal enemy? Of course, Russia spies on us. So do a lot of countries, some of them far more effectively than Russia. The Russian attempt to meddle in our election was comically amateurish. Badly targeted Facebook ads almost nobody saw. Compare that effort to the deep penetration of American industry and the defense sector by the Communist government of China. Or compare it to the remarkable sway that the Sunni Gulf states have over our political process. Or the fact that Latin American countries are changing election outcomes here by forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want. Those are all major challenges from foreign powers to our American democracy. They're real.
And say it, Tucker! The Democrats and Republicans are on the goddamn payroll.
Why is that? Well, here's one reason.
Those Chi-Coms, man. You're the traitors. We're going to get your ass, Brennan. And you too, Mud.
In their homes and watch their kids. Those countries can't be our enemies, in their view. But nobody here is getting rich from Russia, so therefore Putin must be a mortal foe. That's what the neocons are telling us we are required to believe.
They don't run Russia is why they hate them.
Actually believe it?
Just like they hate Trump.
A person who's read a newspaper this year could recite that talking point without laughing because it's stupid. So the only option, if you want to force the population to accept something ridiculous, is to make sure they don't think too much about it.
This is the next level.
Quiet.
Tucker Carlson is the next level.
And if you don't believe it, watch what's happening.
Everything we've been looking for right there.
Obviously, it's possible, entirely possible, maybe likely that the Russian government broke into the DNC servers before the last election. It certainly sounds like something they might do. But before we act like we know for a fact that that's what happened and go to war with Russia over that, shouldn't we see some actual evidence that it happened? Why not? Like maybe a server, or at least a clear explanation.
Oh, like Congress having hearings to ban me and then not letting me be there to face my accuser.
How dare he? That's a treasonous thought, we were told. He's a quisling, a traitor to his country. That's what they're saying. And not just a few of them. All of them are saying that.
But they're globalists. They're the ones that sold the country out.
For a second about what they are demanding. If you don't automatically accept the imprecise, non-specific, never fully explained findings of shadowy intelligence agencies with long, documented track records of making serious mistakes, you've somehow betrayed your country. The very people who assured you that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, the ones who said the Shah would never fall in Iran, et cetera, those people must be believed without question or else. On television, this group is called the intelligence community. That's an Orwellian name if there ever was one. Where exactly is this community we hear so much about? Does it have a zip code? A public library system? A youth football league? How long before Congress starts demanding unthinking obedience to the lawmaker community? It's a community, after all. You must obey it. Dissent is unpatriotic. And if you don't agree, you're working for Vladimir Putin. That's where we're heading, by the way, and fast. In some ways, this whole story is about Donald Trump and what he's said and what he does. But on a deeper level, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This is about democracy, whether or not voters rule their country. It turns out the very people telling you they are saving our democracy are working overtime to destroy it and scolding you as they do.
100% pure veritas. It's a hole in one. I've never done anything like that. Tucker Carlson's the king now, period. He's the guy. And he wrote that. And understand this. Just like they tell you over and over again, worship Edward R. Murrow. That's what Edward R. Murrow wished he was. We're the Americans. We're taking the country back. The people trying to oppose us are the traitors. It's that simple. Infowars.com, newswars.com, tomorrow's news today.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer filling in. I want to show this graphic here because it really explains everything when it comes to how the media treats Donald Trump. And you can go off and try to understand why the media treats Donald Trump like that. Obviously, we know why. But if you look at the Time magazine covers that featured Barack Obama versus the Time magazine covers that featured Donald Trump, you understand everything. And so you have the 4 Time magazine covers praising Obama. He's the best. He's the hero. He can do no wrong. And then you have the 4 Time magazine covers, Trump is the worst. He's melting down. He's separating kids. He's a failure. Of course, what is the truth? What is the truth? The truth is that in 2 years, President Donald Trump has gotten more done than any president maybe ever. I mean, I'm not sure if it's even fair to compare certain presidents given the landscape and the time in which they were president, but compared to Obama, Trump is an elephant and Obama is a fly on the elephant's ass that is being switched away with the tail. Obama is a horsefly on the ass of Trump the elephant, and Trump is slapping him away with his tail right now. So why, though, does Time magazine hate Donald Trump so much, even though he's done incredible things for America, and why did they love Obama so much, who did what? Seriously, go ask Obama supporters. What are Obama's accomplishments? They can't tell you. He's done nothing. Oh, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, what did he get that for? Can't tell you that. And it just is the perfect illustration of the total bias against Donald Trump in the media. But the incredible thing is, it hasn't stopped him, and it hasn't hurt his approval ratings. You know, Mike Adams is about to come in studio. We're going to get some real news. But you know what? I just want to say something real quick. You know, we were out with the Proud Boys last night, and I always love meeting new people and hearing other opinions and stuff, and just, you know, just being a regular person with other people. And I'm sure that there's a lot of young people that are listening to this right now, whether it be at your university or your school or in your friend group or whatever, but you feel that you're slighted, you feel that you're underestimated, and you probably feel like maybe you don't belong or you don't deserve or whatever the case may be. I'm kind of going off on a jag here, but I know that there's audience members out there that feel that way, and so they tune in to InfoWars to feel the empowerment and to empower themselves with knowledge and truth. But to the young people out there that have to deal with people insulting them, calling them names, you know, family not wanting to talk about them anymore, it may not feel good at the time. It may feel like it's hurting you, but it's actually a blessing in disguise. Because the more people underestimate you, the more people have low expectations for you, the more success you can have. And so to all the young audience out there right now that feels like they don't belong because they love Trump and everyone else hates Trump, or they're underestimated or they have low expectations, do not let that keep you down. Let that motivate you, and understand that when you succeed, when you have low expectations, when you are underestimated and you succeed despite that, that is even a greater victory for you. So that's what you need to do. Just put your head down and win, and the rest will come.
President Trump gives every indication by what he says and what he does and what he doesn't do that he's mean as a wolverine.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
The but they took a lot of people away. People that they thought were going to make trouble for them. People that had guns or things they wanted, they just took them away.
Where?
Re-education camps, that's what they call it.
So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
I have decided we really need camps for adults. And we need the kind of camps that you all run. I mean, really.
All persons of Japanese descent were required to register. Now they were taken to racetracks and fairgrounds where the Army almost overnight had built assembly centers.
Come on. I'm a sorry citizen. I refuse to recognize you guys.
What kind of a situation in the U.S. would you see that happening?
I mean, we've got a lot of constitutionalists and a lot of people that stockpile weapons.
Plus, you have a lot of people that are coming out of the military that have the ability and the knowledge to build IEDs and to defeat law enforcement techniques.
These people are radicalized and they don't support the United States and they're disloyal to the United States. It's our right and our obligation to segregate them from the normal community.
That's what we're doing here, and let's not kid about it. We're building a domestic army because the government is afraid of its own citizens.
Put your gun down, really?
Rallying patriots worldwide in defense of human liberty. It's Alex Jones.
Are you some kind of a constitutionalist?
Wolverines! So these people who hold themselves out to be patriots are not. They're nothing more than domestic terrorists.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
President Trump gives every indication by what he says and what he does and what he doesn't do that he's mean as a Wolverine.
Wolverines! Thank you, Dan Rather, for giving us another meme for President Trump. Boy, it's great. They give us all these memes, the deplorables, fake news, mean like a Wolverine. I love it. Mike Adams is in studio with me. Here's the deal. We're going to be talking about the congressional hearings. We're going to be talking about the internet censorship. We're going to be talking about the internet kill switch. Then we're going to break down why the media and the Democrat Party is so upset with the Trump-Putin summit. But first, I've got all of these notes here. So I was watching the congressional hearings yesterday, Mike, and I've got these 5 pages of notes. But you had Monica Bickert from Facebook, Juniper Downs from YouTube, who was actually there to represent Google. They requested Google's presence. They sent Juniper Downs from YouTube. And then, yes, Mr. Pickles, Mr. Nick Pickles,
right,
from Twitter, to be a part of this congressional hearing. Now, obviously, as usual, it's pretty much the same stuff, Mike, right? What are you doing about fake news? What are we doing about Russian interference? You know, so they kind of use that as the basis for having this hearing. But then what happens? They say, why aren't you banning InfoWars? You know, why does Alex Jones get to promote his news stories on Twitter? So why do you think you have these congressional hearings happening? Is it to create an atmosphere to shut InfoWars and other sites like us down, or are they genuinely concerned about what's happening on social media?
Well, I think we have to back up and first look at the arrogance of the assertion that just because certain left-leaning members of Congress don't like the content that InfoWars broadcasts, that therefore they can demand that these social media giants pull the InfoWars channel. This premise is utterly fraudulent, and they lied about InfoWars multiple times on the record. You know, InfoWars has demanded retractions of one senator. I don't recall which one.
Donnie Deutsch.
Deutsch. There you go.
Deutsch.
But they lie. They deliberately lie. And then they say InfoWars is fake news while they are lying about InfoWars. So by their own logic, they should be censored because they're lying. And meanwhile, don't we have the freedom to express different ideas, including especially unpopular ideas? And by the way, most of the ideas that InfoWars broadcasts are very popular. They are, you know, freedom is popular, right? From time to time.
Truth is popular.
Truth is popular. But InfoWars views contradict the mainstream fake news narrative precisely because the media monopolists are fake news. And so for that reason, InfoWars gets called out and Congress demands that InfoWars get banned. Well, if that's the case, then aren't they setting up a precedent, Owen, where they say that anytime a Democrat member of Congress doesn't like what a broadcaster is saying, that they can demand Facebook censor their entire channel? Is that what this has come to? Because that's absurd. That's not America.
Well, it's even wilder than that because, first of all, you had all the Democrats, whenever they got their 5 minutes, every single one of them had to slam Trump Putin. So before they even got to the actual content of what the hearing was for, they had to get their 2 cents in about, Trump bad, Russia bad. But what you really had here, and we're going to play the clip in the next segment, I think the most shocking thing, Mike, was you had Democrats claiming, I can't even believe I'm telling you this, but we have the clips, we'll show you. You have Democrats claiming that conservatives are essentially running the social media networks, bullying, yeah, I know,
right,
bullying liberal and left ideas and content out of social media. That they make that claim that conservatives are bullying leftists and liberals off of social media. They make that claim, and then in the very next sentence, they call for InfoWars to be shut down. Well, it's like, that is the most ironic thing you could ever think of.
I saw a headline on Gateway Pundit last night that talked about, it may be on InfoWars as well, 93% reduction in traffic to conservative websites since Facebook began the purge of conservative information in January of 2017, as Trump was about to, become a sworn-in president. This is a deliberate, malicious censorship tyranny that's being used by Facebook, by Google, YouTube, Twitter, and other internet giants. And it is an algorithmic attempt to suppress the free speech of those selected political targets. And InfoWars is merely the test case. And this is one reason why I'm here and why I'm speaking out about this, Owen, because I know that if they manage to take down Alex Jones and InfoWars, guess what? Natural News is next. I'm next. And then Breitbart is next, and Drudge is next. Who's next? It's a domino effect.
Yeah, the Gateway Pundit is
next.
That's
what they want.
And they even mentioned the Gateway Pundit yesterday, too, along with InfoWars, Breitbart, and others. And some of the crazy stuff here, I mean, they want to say election meddling because of social media activity. So what? So now you're saying if I go on social media and I say, hey, President Trump's doing a great job with tax cuts, am I now meddling in the election?
Well, what's clear now is Google and Facebook are fraudulently stealing the 2018 midterm elections right now by the fact that they are censoring conservative voices. They are engaged in a massive fraud right now, and it's been going on all year. I mean, what Robert Mueller charged these Russians with was, I think, an attempt to defraud the United States of America by influencing the elections, right?
Key word. Attempt. They don't even have conclusive evidence that it even happened.
Their efforts were minuscule. Even if they spent a few $100,000 in advertising, it's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket, right? But what Google and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter are doing is massive. They are massively defrauding the United States of America. They are deliberately attempting to steal the election right now, which makes me think that, you know what, if Democrats win in 2018, isn't that on a fraudulent basis? Because Google and Facebook have cut off half of the debate, the conservative half, who are not allowed to speak. And that's how they're trying to destroy this country and take over politically so they can crush our economy and put us into war with Russia, by the way, which is what they want. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to have the clip of Senator Raskin on the other side. But really, the whole hearing was honestly bombshell. I wish we had more time. One of the crew members here, Matt Weber, fellow St. Louisan from the Ill Side, gave a great quote during the break. Winners are focused on winning, and losers are focused on winners. I guess that's why everybody talks about InfoWars and shutting us down. So I've just gotten 2 stories here that Alex wants me to talk about. Obama spoke in Johannesburg, South Africa, his biggest speech since handing over the reins of the U.S. president to Donald Trump. Spoke for about an hour. But he says men are getting on his nerves now, and he's sick of men, and he wants to empower more women. I guess, is he talking about Michelle? Men getting on his nerves? Is that what I guess his husband, wife is getting on his nerves. So you got that going on. So Obama, you know, it's nice. Obama just sowing more discord, you know, sowing more warfare between men and women, you know. So that's nice. Thanks, Obama. Thanks for jabbing the knife into our back one more time. Then you have this story from The Hill. GOP lawmaker regrets appearing on Alex Jones' radio show. You know, look, I really like Matt Gaetz. I think he is the future of the Republicans in Congress. I think he is a real patriot, and he's fighting the good fight. And I don't know why he's making statements about regretting going on Jones' show or regretting InfoWars appearances or whatever, but I mean, do you think here's my theory. You've got an element to this where I understand why Matt Gaetz would want to say things like this, because he's catching so much flack, and he may not actually even believe what he's saying. He may really like us, he may really like Alex, but he's just, you know, pigeonholed here.
Was trying to insulate himself because InfoWars is under attack by all of these lying Democrats who are literally factually misrepresenting what InfoWars has said. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think Gaetz is just distancing himself. You and I both probably very much appreciate Gaetz' views and work. The things that he has done are quite commendable, in fact. And there are many others like Jim Jordan and Louis Gohmert and Rand Paul, for example.
Yeah, these are the Republicans that are actually fighting.
Right, right. But, you know, look, InfoWars is not supposed to be the conservative establishment. It's not even conservative. It's libertarian, right? It's anti-establishment. The job of InfoWars and independent media is to prod the establishment and ask the big questions and be the dissenting view, express free speech. And frankly, Owen, I would say, you know, Matt Gaetz, if he were going to be ashamed about going on any news program, it should be CNN. Has he boycotted CNN? And if
yeah, where's all the disavowing of CNN and their fake news?
And these left-wing media establishments, you want to talk about actually killing kids? I mean, not just comments about Parkland or Sandy Hook. CNN promotes the psychiatric drugging of children, the GMOs, the pesticides.
And funds their news.
Exactly. The mass medication of children, some of which leads to mass shootings because of people coming off antidepressants and so on. CNN is pushing these toxins and poisons that damage the environment, that destroy our food supply, that give people cancer. If anybody should be ashamed, it's CNN.
CNN is cancer, but this is what they do. It's like InfoWars' entire identity is Sandy Hook or crisis actors at Parkland, and it's like that's not even a 0.1% of what we cover here. And you know, see, it's like, I don't know. Again, I don't know why Matt Gaetz is saying this. I don't know if he has even looked into these things, whether it be Sandy Hook or the Parkland shooting. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Sandy Hook, but I mean, come on, you know, like.
Well, look, Matt Gaetz, no question, this is a strategic move on his part. You almost can't blame him in a way. He's trying to insulate himself from InfoWars during these hearings when InfoWars is being unfairly and falsely accused of doing things that did not happen. Now, can Alex sue for defamation members of Congress? Probably not, because I'm talking about the Democrats who are lying.
Defamation suits are the hardest suits to win because you have to prove monetary, you know, losses.
The best thing that I think that InfoWars can do is just continue to put out quality professional journalism and independent analysis of events, and be that beacon of asking big questions, having constitutionally protected dissent against the monopolized media script.
I mean, but Matt Gaetz here's what Matt Gaetz needs to understand. And again, I'm not here to attack Matt Gaetz. I'm not going to speak for Alex as far as what Matt Gaetz is saying. But if Matt Gaetz doesn't understand this is what he needs to understand. We're under attack. They're trying to shut us down. They're trying to end our right to free speech. Matt, we give you a platform. Like, we give you a platform to come on here and promote truth. But let me just play this clip of Congressman Raskin, because this is really what it's all about. And these are the people that are trying to shut us down, Mr. Gaetz. So let's go to the clip of Congressman Raskin. This is honestly unbelievable.
About the continuing demonization and vilification of families and children who were victimized in episodes of mass gun slaughter. And we know it's now an ideological fixture on the right wing in America to deny the existence of these atrocities, like what took place in Newtown, Connecticut, what took place in Parkland, and then to allege that they're the product of some kind of conspiracy or hoax. And of course, the founding myth in this vein is Holocaust revisionism, which claims that the Holocaust never took place. But so Mr. Deutsch asks the question, what's being done about this? Have you appointed a committee to review the problem of bias against people who are victims of gun violence and the way that they are being treated on the internet, and the way that there is voice being given to people who are denying the historical fact of their experience?
Certainly, if anybody alleges that the Parkland survivors are crisis actors, that violates our policies. We remove it.
Show the tapes.
But to your question about...
You remove it, and then and they're allowed to continue to keep putting it out
so
in the future.
Here, pause it real quick. So here they are talking about censoring InfoWars. They're already doing it. So this is, but it's about to be even more incredible. They complain that conservatives are censoring liberals on Twitter as they are literally here talking about censoring us.
Well, and also think about it. Oh, they're asserting essentially that there has never been a false flag ever in the history of the world, that no event has ever been faked.
You know, I mean, it's infuriating. They don't do their research.
Of course. The historical record, regardless of what you think about Parkland or Sandy Hook or any of those others, history, documented history, the United States, declassified documents show that the U.S. government was attempting false flag operations in the past. Many, many examples.
Declassified.
Exactly. So for this assertion that every event is automatically true and that there's no alternative narrative that can
No, you're not even to think about anything. You're not even to think outside of the box. Right. You can't go against the... All right, we need to... Look, here, I need to plug. I have barely even plugged today, folks. We're playing the clips. They're calling to shut us down. This is the United States government. This is Congress. This is Democrats calling to shut us down. This is losers at CNN going and flagging our videos to try to shut us down. Mr. Potato Head Brian Stelter, Pennywise the Clown, calls to shut us down.
CNN bullies. What about the anti-bullying policy of YouTube and Facebook? CNN are bullies that are trying to smash InfoWars into the ground just on the bullying policy.
Ram it down CNN's throat by going to InfoWarsStore.com today and purchase $500 worth of supplements. Ram it down CNN's throat. You know, I got to tell you, I'm probably one of those men that Obama's getting tired of, because you know what? Mike Adams, Alex Jones, Owen Schroyer, David Knight, the guests that we have on this show, we're real men. And I'm reaching a point where I'm getting so sick of some of the pushback against us that I'm almost wanting to say things that people don't want us to say. I'll just put it that way when it comes to Sandy Hook and Pizzagate. But you want to keep pushing this, man, you're gonna get what you want. Now, Mike is going over a bombshell story that we've just got here. Mark Zuckerberg was on a podcast saying InfoWars shouldn't be shut down. Of course, it's a misnomer. They're already trying to shut us down. They admit that they algorithm us out of existence, at least 80%. That's their numbers. So Mike is going to address this here. He's getting the pull quotes from the story now. Our producers are working on getting the clips from this podcast that Zuckerberg went on. Here's an idea. Why doesn't Zuckerberg actually come on the Alex Jones show? I mean, you want to talk about breaking the internet. If Mark Zuckerberg came on the Alex Jones show, that would be like probably bigger than the Rogan Jones podcast. But look, I need to plug here. I've barely plugged, and we have these huge specials running right now. It's the Defeat the Democrat Censorship Sale, and it's just like so here we are in the middle of all of this. You know, they call for InfoWars to be shut down. Democrats, Congress call for InfoWars to be shut down. Mainstream news outlets like CNN call for InfoWars to be shut down. Potato Head from Toy Story on CNN says for InfoWars to be shut down. So, and then they say, oh, look at InfoWars claiming to be the victim, like the people want to shut them down. And it's like, we play all the clips, we have the congressional hearings, they go on for 3 hours, and then they call us conspiracy theorists because we say they want to shut us down, and we're just going to their own quotes. So we're not, look, it's not something where we're just trying to patronize you here. They really want to shut down, folks. And the difference is they cannot shut us down because we're funded by you. That's the key to everything we do here. We're an independent news organization funded by our audience. No other news outlet with our reach, with our numbers when it comes to how many crew members we have, with everything we do here, no one else is funded like us.
And you're not funded by the toxic prescription medications that fund CNN, by the way. I mean, think about that. The InfoWars products promote health, longevity, cognitive performance. The stuff that CNN pushes, it's poison.
And that's what I'm saying.
Poison for your body, poison for your mind.
And people who use these products know how good they are, and they become repeat customers. I'm one of them. So
InfoWarsStore.com, right?
InfoWarsStore.com. If you're sick of CNN, if you want to fight back against these people, but you're not sure how, go to InfoWarsStore.com. I'm telling you, nothing ticks off the Democrats. Nothing ticks off CNN more than your support at InfoWarsStore.com. They cannot stand the fact they cannot stop you from supporting us at InfoWarsStore.com. That is our lifeblood. So please go to InfoWarsStore.com and support us today. All right, Mike, you've got the story. Mark Zuckerberg goes on a podcast, says he doesn't want InfoWars to be shut down, even though they are shutting us down. But you said there's some incredible quotes from this. We're working on getting the audio. What did you find?
It's extraordinary. This is an interview that Zuckerberg did with Recode, Kara Swisher. I'm sorry if I pronounced that correctly.
Someone, no one's heard of this podcast. No one's heard of this person. Nothing against this podcaster person. I'm sure they're fine people, or I don't know. But the point is, why don't they come on here? This is the big audience, dude.
But look, here's what Zuckerberg says. When he's asked, why doesn't he take down InfoWars? Listen to this. You're going to be shocked. He says, this is Zuckerberg talking about InfoWars. He says, quote, I don't think that they're intentionally getting it wrong. He's talking about InfoWars. I don't think they're intentionally getting it wrong. Now,
yeah, because we're getting it right.
But his supposition is InfoWars is wrong, but they're not doing it intentionally. Now, listen to his logic, though. This is fascinating. It's hard to impugn intent and to understand the intent, he says. In other words, Zuckerberg is like, he gets it so much more than any of these Democrats that just call, ban InfoWars, shut them up, censor them. Zuckerberg is saying, well, we think they're wrong, but how do you determine someone's intent? I don't think InfoWars is trying to get it wrong. He says, this is his quote, I just think as important as some of those examples are, I think the reality is also that I get things wrong when I speak publicly. This is Zuckerberg saying that he gets things wrong when he speaks publicly. And he says, I'm sure you do. I'm sure a lot of leaders and public leaders who we respect do too. He says, I just don't think that it is the right thing to say we're going to take someone off the platform if they get things wrong, even multiple times.
You know, this is actually
fascinating.
Incredible. So here's the deal. Alex isn't buying this, and I'm not going to speak for Alex Jones here. I'm not Alex Jones, and I'm sure he's going to respond to this, and he's going to break this down. So I don't think I'm speaking for Alex here. I'm just asking questions, absorbing it all. I'm wondering what's going on in Zuckerberg's head right now, because we know that they're trying to censor us. They admit that they have algorithms that chop us down 80%. But I've never heard Zuckerberg say anything like this, and I'm wondering if now Alex isn't buying this, but I'm wondering if Zuckerberg is being genuine here, or he's just placating, pretending like he cares about free speech. But let's first, Mike, hold that thought, because we have the audio ready. Let's actually go to the audio of Zuckerberg on this podcast.
If it's going to result in real harm, real physical harm, or if you're attacking individuals, then that content shouldn't be on the platform, right? And there's a lot of categories of that we can get into.
The Democrats, the left.
But then there's broad debate. And
okay, Sandy Hook didn't happen is not a debate. It is false. You can't just take that down.
I agree that it is false.
Okay.
And I also think that going to someone who is a victim of Sandy Hook and telling them, hey, no, you're a liar.
Here, pause it real quick. Pause it real.
You can't, because they said whatever, that you can't argue with it.
No, but think about what they just said. See, this is what they do. They dumb down the conversation. They say, "No, Sandy Hook didn't happen." Wait, what does that even mean? Yeah. Nobody said Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Sandy Hook's the name of a place.
Yeah, Sandy Hook didn't happen. What Sandy Hook didn't happen?
Like what element are you talking about?
Mars didn't happen. The galaxy didn't happen. Like what? Like nobody says it didn't happen. All right, so it's just, this is how they dumb down their conversation. All right, let's go back.
And we actually will take that down. But overall, you know, I mean, let's take this a little closer to home, right? Okay. So I'm Jewish, and there's a set of people who deny that the Holocaust happened, right? I find that deeply offensive. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that our platform should take that down, because I think that there are things that different people get wrong. Either, I don't think that they're intentionally getting it wrong, but I think that
in case of the Holocaust deniers, they might be, but go ahead.
it's hard to impugn intent and to understand the intent. But I just think for as abhorrent as some of those examples are, I think the reality is also that I get things wrong when I speak publicly. I'm sure you do. I'm sure a lot of leaders and public figures who we respect do too. And I just don't think that it is the right thing to say we are going to take someone off the platform if they get things wrong, even multiple times.
All right, here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say. Genuinely, I want to see this country come together. Genuinely, I want to see all Americans enjoy this American resurgence, enjoy our freedom and prosperity. That's our birthright. And I don't want to fight with fellow Americans. I don't want to go out in the streets and wave an American flag at a march and then have some thug clad in a black hoodie come up and try to, punch me or stick me with a needle or something. So I'll just say this. And again, we'll get Alex's take on this. I know he's not buying it. He may even disagree with me. But if Mark Zuckerberg wants to come out as a patriot for America, then I'm down. That's what I'm saying. It's just quit being such liars, quit being such frauds, quit trying to shut down free speech, and let's just come together. So if Zuckerberg is being genuine about this, I think he should come on Alex Jones's show.
Oh, if I could interrupt, if he is genuine about this opinion, this is a very commendable point of view compared to the insanity of the left, which is just ban everyone that disagrees with us. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this because I think he's evil, but Mark Zuckerberg is a genius compared to this moron who's interviewing him. Okay, let me just say that. He is a genius compared to her. He's actually got a reason behind his positions here. Is he faking it or is he serious? If he's serious, it actually makes sense. You can't impugn people based on just your beliefs. When InfoWars reports the news, InfoWars is always working to tell the truth.
But here's the key.
Every time.
Here's the key. If people like Zuckerberg, Kanye West, and others come out against all the hate, the street minions have no fuel anymore. That's the key. All right, so we've got Mark Zuckerberg goes on some unknown podcast and says InfoWars should not be shut down because they don't intentionally get the news wrong. Now, look, again, I just want to see Americans come together, and someone like Mark Zuckerberg does have power, okay? And if he is willing to be cordial in disagreements, and if he is willing to say, hey, look, InfoWars is not the boogeyman that people think they are, they should have free speech too, and you have more people like Zuckerberg doing that, this is how we can stop the tensions in the United States. Whether I like Zuckerberg or not is irrelevant. I want Zuckerberg to stop fueling the street minions out there that are causing violence. But here's the key. He says InfoWars does not intentionally report fake news. Now, let's not forget what Facebook has done. We're not trying to, Facebook has banned conservatives. They've shut conservatives down. They chop us down to 80% censorship. So we're not discounting what Facebook has done. And in fact, most of the audience has probably been censored on Facebook. You've been shut down on Facebook. We've been shut down on Facebook. So I'm not forgetting that. I'm just trying to get the positive pulp from this. I'm trying to squeeze this and get some positivity out of it. We'll see what Zuckerberg says next or if he really means this. I would say that Mark Zuckerberg needs to come on the Alex Jones show.
At least, Owen, Zuckerberg is not going along with the lynch mob mentality of the Democrats, and that's commendable.
Is key. Exactly.
That's
that,
commendable.
To me, yeah.
I mean, I can't believe I'm impressed by Mark Zuckerberg's defense here. Now, granted, he has been censoring through the downranking algorithms, the shadow banning, all of these other things. They're very malicious, and Facebook has been engaged in that. But he's not going along with this lynch mob that just says, shut these people down because they report a different view than we report. I mean, no matter what you think about Sandy Hook or Parkland, or even as Zuckerberg cites the Holocaust, no matter what you think, Zuckerberg is saying that if you don't intentionally fake the news, that you should at least have a platform to express something. Even if they downrank you 99%, you still have like the 1%. But I mean, look, the bottom line for all of us is we got to move to other platforms anyway. Right, we got to get off of Facebook.
Oh, but see, now you've hit the key. See, that might be the zeitgeist. See, these guys are capitalists at the end of the day, Mike.
Right, they don't want to lose all the people that would flee if they outright ban InfoWars.
Which is already happening.
Yes.
Now let's go to an organization that actually does intentionally fake news. Now,
CNN, man.
You have Hillary Clinton, who lies about being under sniper fire. Brian Williams, who lies about some experience. I think he said he was in an Apache helicopter getting shot at or something. Totally made up. Of course, He gets hired by MSNBC. Go figure. So You want to see a news organization that intentionally fakes news? Let's go back to this classic from Charles Jaco on CNN pretending to get bombed during the Gulf War.
Now, again, as we said, we're not sure what caused this. It could possibly, and we emphasize possibly, have been a ground impact of a Scud. It could have been a ground impact of a Patriot, or it could have been the result of debris.
He's got the blue screen behind him.
We just don't know
It's
right
like a
now,
fake
but
palm
we do
tree.
know
Plastic
that
palm
at least
tree.
2 Scud missiles incoming were fired at Riyadh, and
You
according
can see
to
studio
solid
lights
Saudi
shining off
military,
his forehead.
They were both shot down. Charles Jaco, CNN, reporting live from Saudi Arabia.
He was in an Atlanta basement.
Is that a Saturday Night Live skit? What was that? I love the part.
Hold on. That's not the clip. That's not the clip. Find the clip where they sent the sirens off and he freaks out and puts a gas mask on. That's the bombshell clip.
Wait, and doesn't the guy next to him put on a helmet?
Yeah,
Like,
there it is. He comes in with
mask,
this is so ridiculous.
And the guy puts on a helmet.
Think about it. Who bought this crap? Here, go to the clip. This is CNN faking news.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it?
Oh, this is pure comedy, man. CNN Live.
In Saudi Arabia, not
totally
in Saudi
fake
Arabia.
news.
This guy gets down. He's buckling his helmet. Jaco puts on a gas mask.
So
oh yeah,
one of them's got the wrong gear.
Jaco's got the gas mask on. What about the cameraman? What about the other guy?
Right. They're all gonna die of sarin gas, I guess, according to. Well, now he takes it off. He's like, oh, the attack has passed. We're gonna live. We're gonna live.
We just heard a little funk.
This is CNN literally faking news.
What year was this? About 1991 or something around then, I would guess. 91, 92.
And then you have the new one. What year? I thought some 90.
90. Okay.
And then you have the new one. And then you have the new one where they set up a fake protest and they recruit people off the street to stage a fake protest, and then they shoot their camera shot like there's a real protest going on.
But what about the time when was it CNN? They had 2 reporters in the same parking lot, and they said,
all
this
the
is a
time.
remote reporter, but the same buses are driving behind both reporters. Talk about fake news. CNN deliberately fakes the news, people. This is the key. When InfoWars, InfoWars is covering breaking news. Sometimes early details have to get corrected. That's called journalism. That's called covering real news. CNN fabricates fake news with fake sets, fake parking lot scenes. CNN fakes the news. Why aren't these Democrat Congress people calling for CNN to be banned for faking the news, huh?
You know what? Let's go back to the Democrats in Congress. Let's go back to Raskin, who out of one side of his mouth says, hey, conservatives are trying to shut down liberals, and then out of the other side of his mouth says, we need to shut down InfoWars. I mean,
raised a very
yeah, go ahead, roll it.
Raised a very profound concern about the continuing demonization and vilification of families and children who are victimized in episodes of mass gun slaughter. And we know it's now an ideological fixture on the right wing in America to deny the existence of these atrocities.
Pause it. So we're not even allowed to report on it. I'm not even allowed to report on a mass shooting. I'm demonizing people if I just report on it. Let's go back.
Newtown, Connecticut, what took place in Parkland, and then to allege that they're the product of some kind of conspiracy or hoax. And of course, the founding myth in this vein is Holocaust revisionism, which claims that the Holocaust never took place.
Which we have nothing to do with. We've
Mr.
never
Deutsch
said that.
asks the question, what's being done about this? Have you appointed
So he makes a false equivalent there.
The problem of bias against people who are victims of gun violence and the way that they are being treated on the internet, and the way that there is voice being given to people who are denying the historical fact of their experience?
What about, can I interrupt here? What about CNN pushing the chemical violence of children? We're talking about the mass psychiatric drugging of children and senior citizens. Over 250,000 Americans, by some estimates, die each year by FDA-approved prescription drugs.
Oh, no.
It varies.
No.
Chemical violence.
Prescription drugs kill more people in this country than cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine combined.
Yes. Prescription opioids alone are what? CDC said 60,000 plus per year. That's more Americans than died in the entire Vietnam War, by the way. Every year. And CNN is promoting that industry.
They
Chemical
fund,
violence
that's who
against
funds
children.
CNN.
And CNN is in denial of that. You talk about denying violence against children, you can't get a better example. than CNN and pushing their pharmaceuticals and pushing their toxic pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate in the food supply. How many cases of cancer? You know, 300,000 plus people die of cancer every year in America. I believe that's the correct number. Many of them are children. I mean, you talk about violence against children. That dwarfs anything that happened in Parkland or even Sandy Hook. Not that those numbers are small, but compared to the number of children killed by chemical violence promoted by CNN through toxic poison chemicals, drugging, medications, I mean, it's insane. We've got to change the script on this. This is not about what InfoWars reports about Parkland. This is about CNN poisoning America, poisoning children.
Mentally
causing
and physically.
Mass death. That's the real issue. CNN should be ashamed of themselves. They are poison pushers, and they push that poison for profit, and then they dare attack you and Alex Jones for having a different point of view that even Mark Zuckerberg says they should be allowed to have a different point of view.
I still say Mark Zuckerberg should come on the Alex Jones show. Let's go back to Congressman Raskin.
The Parkland survivors are crisis actors. That violates our policies. We remove it. But to your question about...
You remove it, and then and they're allowed to continue
again,
to
just
keep
pause it real
putting
quick. It's just
we're never going to get through this.
It's just so ridiculous, Mike. They never play the clips. They never show any evidence. They just make these false claims, and then it just becomes out there as a truth when there's no evidence of it. All right, go back.
They're demonstrating fake news as they're testifying. They're making it. They're making fake news.
And they're allowed to continue to keep putting it up in the future, or are they banned from Facebook?
We would remove that content if they put it up again, and at a certain point, their account or their page would be removed.
So just to explain what's happened with InfoWars, because they've made a cottage industry out of this. What they do is they deny that these events have happened.
That's
Why
not,
are they
totally
still
false.
On Facebook?
Fake
Completely
news.
false.
We have removed content from the InfoWars page to the extent that it's violated our policies. They have not reached the threshold at which their entire...
You notice she didn't correct the record right there?
It depends,
She didn't tell the truth?
the nature of the violation. So there are sometimes more severe violations.
Incredible.
And
All right. Well, look, I'm with Mr. Liu, which is that you guys are private journalistic entities right now. But if you're going to be ideologically badgered and bulldozed to take positions in the interest of right-wing politics, then we are going to have to look at what's happening there, because
I can't believe
the
this.
badgering.
That's what I'm saying.
These people are the bullies. These people are badgering InfoWars and Alex Jones every day, lying about what he said, lying about InfoWars. They are fake news. Every word that comes out of their mouth is fake.
Can you believe that? Can you believe what you just heard there? That's unbelievable. Thank you so much, Mike
No
Adams.
shame they
just
have.
unbelievable.
It's unreal.
All right, filling in for Alex Jones here. We may be hearing again from Alex before the end of the broadcast. I know he's fired up about the latest from Mark Zuckerberg, but I want to go back to this clip that I can't get out because I can't stop talking. I don't even know how to explain this. You have a Democrat congressman calling for InfoWars to be shut down and then says that essentially InfoWars is bullying liberals off of social media. Honestly, I'm struggling to find the words to even explain how ludicrous this is. So I guess I'll just play the clip. So just cue it up to that right moment, guys, so we don't play the whole clip again. Do we have it queued up to the right moment? Listen to Congressman Raskin. I'm beyond words. I cannot believe that anybody would, A, say this in front of Congress and get away with it. This is truly incredible. This is the epitome of irony, what Raskin is about to say. Go ahead and roll it.
But if you're going to be ideologically badgered and bulldozed to take positions in the interest of right-wing politics, then we are going to have to look at what's happening there, because at that point there's not viewpoint neutrality. Would you agree that you should not be catering to particular interests as opposed to everybody who's concerned about what's taking place
The
online?
gentleman's time has well expired, so we're going to now recognize Mr. Rutherford of Florida for 5 minutes.
I would love it if you would follow up also about Alex Jones and InfoWars. If certain content you're saying has been taken down when they are taunting the students from Parkland, but at what point does the whole page get taken down?
He calls for a Democrat in Congress at a congressional hearing that they don't air on C-SPAN because they don't want you to see it, calls for InfoWars to be shut down, and then says that InfoWars is trying to shut down liberals. Seriously, I don't even know how to properly, I can't even believe this. I can't even think of a real analogy to this. This is like, that has to be the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen in Congress. And let me tell you, I've seen some crap. I mean, anytime Hank Johnson opens his mouth, you're just stunned at the just utter stupidity. Hank Johnson has been reelected twice after he said islands float. He thought Guam was going to tip over if too many people were on one side. He got reelected twice. A complete bumbling fool. A moron. Oh, my God. Think about the people that would vote for him. But seriously, how do you... This has to be the most unprecedented doublespeak. This is right out of 1984. Raskin, for 5 minutes, calls for InfoWars to be shut down and then claims that Facebook is catering to right-wing politics, even though it's conservatives that have been banned on Facebook. It's conservatives that are getting censored on Facebook. Like, what in the hell is he talking about? You have an... You have an entire 3-hour hearing about Facebook, Twitter, YouTube censorship because they're censoring conservatives. That's the whole basis. Like, that's the whole thing, is how can they censor conservatives? That's the entire scope of the entire hearing, the third time they've had one. You've had Diamond and Silk. You've had Zuckerberg. This is the third congressional hearing. It's all about how social media is censoring conservatives. And then this jackass Raskin says, you need to stop catering to right-wing politics. You need to quit being bullied and badgered by the right wing to cater to them for your social media platforms. Dude, you have been calling for them to shut down the right wing. You've been calling for, it's like, I don't even know how the... Wow. Wow. They don't want you to see people like Congressman Raskin, a total idiot. Who's dumber, Raskin or Hank Johnson?
What up, bitch? Macaroni for bitch, nigga. Trump game, bitch. Trump game, bitch.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Protesters followed Trump supporters to their cars as they left the convention center. Around the corner and away from police protection on San Carlos Street, a mob mentality took over.
You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Oh, yeah!
What do you say to the people who dragged a poor white guy out of a car and beat him?
Oh my goodness, poor white people, please, oh my, stop.
These were pure attacks. Trump supporters, men, women, even the elderly, left this building last night and walked right into danger.
Police say anti-Trump protesters sprayed 5 Trump supporters, including an 8 and 11-year-old girl outside Anaheim City Hall.
They're throwing things at the guy who has a Trump shirt on. Oh, he just got knocked in the back of the head. He just got punched in the face. And now they're rushing him.
We're saying if you're out there and you're trying to represent your First Amendment right to free speech, if somebody comes and attacks you, it's your right to defend yourself.
It got ugly. Violence erupting at the event as fights broke out, fists flying between Trump supporters and anti-Trump supporters. It gets pretty ugly.
Yeah, I want to warn the folks watching at home, you're about to see some very violent footage.
Do you want to fight? You better believe you got one!
Organizers say today's rallies were meant as a show of unity against what they call a seditious fringe, allegedly trying to sabotage the president.
You can see there a FedEx delivery driver jumping in to try to put an end to the protest.
You don't like, get the
It's the strength in numbers. I'll give it to 8 lips. You want to come out, you better be 100 of you against 1 of me, because that's what it's going to take. Believe me, people like myself will stand up, and we'll be coming right back at you.
You say he's not your president, then you shouldn't be here. Donald Trump is bringing us together. You got that? This is the heart of 1776.
Wow, what a time to be alive. One of the men that will stand and fight is with me in studio again today, Rufio Panman. Of course, you've seen the viral videos by now. I don't know where to go. I wanted to get your take on Congressman Raskin calling for InfoWars to be shut down and then saying that the right wing is trying to shut the left wing down. It's like utter nonsense, doublethink, unlike anything you could ever imagine. But while we see that clip, I mean, it's like, I don't want to fight fellow Americans, but at a certain point, where do these people, I mean, these people don't even like America, right? I mean, if you, like, I have videotape, they say down with America, death to America. These people are communists, man. So they want to shut down the country that provides all of our freedom and prosperity, and they don't want real men and women to stand up to them.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And you, of course, will stand up to them. Other people will stand up for them. I mean, just what do you think is the mindset right now of these people? Do they think that they can really win this battle? Do they think they can really shut America down?
You know, I can't, you know, on behalf of them, I think they're just reaching for anything they can. I think they're grabbing for anything and everything and making up things, as we saw earlier in that clip. He's just blatantly lying about Alex Jones and InfoWars. This is happening with people like Faith Goldy, Lauren Southern, Milo, you know, Alex Jones, even me now that I'm starting to become a little bit more famous. They're doing everything they can to tarnish your name and create lies about you.
And, you know, at a certain point, you wonder if they're ever going to learn. But it's not, you know what? If you don't understand that America is the greatest nation in the world to create a life for yourself, to raise a family, to have freedom and prosperity, if they just want to spit on that, then how are they even going to come to the grips of reality that they're not even going to win this fight? I mean, they can't even understand what they're doing here.
Yeah. You know, yeah, it's nothing makes sense. There's no logic here. This isn't like a fair fight, like we're competing in a campaign. This is just straight lies. This isn't who's better or who's more righteous. This is just straight lies, and they're trying to sway the public. And, you know, in some cases it's working with the people who are kind of brainwashed. They're following this narrative, and it's dangerous.
No, that's exactly it. The Democrats call for violence. The Democrats demonize people like us. And so what you have is a bunch of brainwashed street minions that go out there thinking they're fighting some good fight, but they don't even, it's like, look at the optics. You're the ones out here with weapons. You're the ones out here with your faces covered. You're the ones out here hitting women and children. I mean, even the optics, you think that they would see the optics and realize they're on the wrong side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's really odd to see how fast they can recruit. And that's why it's so suspicious. I mean, we've spent, you know, almost a better half of 2 years doing what we can to spread the word, recruit as much as we can to get people out there. And within a weekend, it seems like they can gather 1,000+ people, you know? And so obviously what they're doing is somewhat effective, and that's why it's dangerous.
And it really makes you wonder who these people are.
Yeah.
You know, because they have their faces covered. Are these all professors? Are these, you know, people that work in government? I mean, who are these people that are going out here and trying to start fights that they can't even finish? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you're the same guy. It's like, I'm not here trying to start a fight. Trust me, I am not here trying to start a fight, but I'll be damned, I'll finish it.
Right. And the part that worries me a lot is, you know, just like you're saying, who are these people? I mean, these people could be your children's teacher. You know, they could be your doctor, people that you feel like you should be able to trust. You know, on the other hand, they're putting on a mask and going out there and beating on Americans. And so, you know, this is kind of our dilemma here is there's these thousands of people showing up with masks, and they could very well be your neighbor or somebody you feel like you should trust for your own safety.
And you can't know who they are.
And you can't.
Like, and a lot of them have been caught and arrested, and it turns out they are professors. And that is a scary thought. And I go out to these protests, I have UT professors blowing fart whistles at me. I mean, it's like, that literally happens. It happened 3 times.
Yeah.
And then I found her at another protest, and I said, hey, where's your fart whistle today? And she goes, oh, what are you talking about? I've never talked to you. I'm like, woman, I have the footage. And now I have the footage of you denying the footage. It's like they don't even, honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy, Rufio. They don't even live in reality anymore. It's like they just create their own reality as they go along, and it's just whatever's convenient for them at the moment.
Yeah, I remember watching that specific clip, and it was hilarious because I'd seen the other footage as well. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And at this point, I've lost the need or the feel for the need to debate these people. I've spent hours and hours and hours trying to talk to them, and like you said, they just have these whistles and these blowhorns and stuff, and they get in your face. There's no interest on their side to find middle ground, and so you have to ask yourself, what do you do then? When they're attacking you physically and things like that.
Well, and there is no debate. That specific event that I went to, I said it to the camera. I go, look, I'm going to ask every individual here. There are about 50 people there. I said, I'm going to ask every single one of these people why they're out here, what they're protesting. I asked every single one. Not one of them could give me a concise answer. Not one of them.
Yeah, Fleccas Talks does a really good job at kind of, getting under their radar. And he exposes
that's
the
a good way to put it.
ridiculousness of the left because they're not triggered by his presence. And it's amazing to watch, obviously your guys and your style and then his style and people like him, and just see this almost the same reaction, the same logic, except when they're talking to you, they're just so tricky.
Yeah, because I'm a snarling bulldog. I'm obnoxious, and I have the InfoWars mic flag, so they're immediately triggered by my presence. But Fleck is kind of, like you said, he kind of goes under the radar, sneaks in, and they think they're having just a real conversation with somebody, and then they give their genuine thoughts and ideas, and it's just like,
and it's still the same idiocy.
Yeah.
Even when they're outraged, whatever, in front of you, they have the same exact logic when they're completely calm. And that is, to me, that's scary.
And it's a total lack of logic, really, is what it is. So you've got Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg now saying InfoWars should not be shut down, even though they are shutting us down. So you've got, but this is what I'm saying. I wish Zuckerberg would say, hey, don't be so upset at InfoWars, because then maybe I could go out on the streets and not get spat on. Maybe I can go out and do a report and not have somebody walk by and say, hey, F InfoWars, F you racist. That'd be nice if I could just live free without a bunch of liberals hating me. Oh, yes, it's mind control, all right. How else do you explain people protesting against their own freedom, their own prosperity? You've got Democrats. I've got the story somewhere. Democrats are now suing over the Trump tax cuts. Do you see how insane this is? Who doesn't want a tax cut? I mean, what? And it wasn't until Trump that now Democrats admit that they want to increase your taxes. I mean, it's honestly shocking. Barack Obama comes out yesterday in a speech in Johannesburg, South Africa, and he says that men are getting on his nerves. So Rufio, he says, men have been getting on his nerves recently. I think he's talking about people like you.
Oh, I'm sure, that's probably exactly what he's talking about.
How dare you punch out his street minions?
Yeah. Well, there's a huge, not only are we facing a kind of quiet civil war, there's a blatant war against men right now. Obviously we've all heard the term toxic masculinity. It's out there, and it's when you start going to these college campuses, it's just so crazy the kind of things they'll say to you, and they won't even take your opinion as legitimate just because you're a man, just because you show any kind of masculinity, especially if if you're a white guy or any of these things, you start to lose legitimacy in their eyes, one after another.
And it's all fake. Like, they don't even know you. This guy that they're showing right now is the perfect example. This guy's probably hopped up on drugs, hopped up on hatred, and he comes out here, he spits at me, he throws punches at me, he curses at me, and I just feel bad for the guy. But you know what, Rufio? Why don't you let Obama's street minions just beat you up and beat you with billy clubs? Why don't you just let them do it? That's what they want you to do. I mean, just lay down. Don't be a man. Just let them beat you senseless.
Yeah, I've always been stubborn. I've always been a really stubborn man my whole life.
Defiance, huh?
Maybe it'll take one of these days, if they're just persistent enough. Maybe I'll just give in. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know.
The funny thing is, I don't even think, there's this video. We've been looking for it. I think it was from the London protest where they put a Trump mask on one of those boxing dummies, with the body, where you do the kick boxing exercises and stuff. And they put a Trump mask on it, and they're all taking their turns punching and kicking, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, you couldn't even hurt me if you punched me. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen their training videos where they do like,
Yeah, I saw there's a post, I think it was Rose City Antifa. They were talking about how they do Navy SEAL training. And
That's the hardest training in the world.
I've done Navy SEAL training with Navy SEALs, and it's not something you necessarily brag about. It's just something about it's enduring, you know, hard things. It's not like you're becoming a better fighter or anything like that. It's about, you know, being able to be in cold water for long periods of time. So obviously they don't know what they're talking about. And it's funny that they make these claims. I mean, yeah, look at this video here.
Yeah, I got news for you, buddy. That's not Navy SEAL training. No, Navy SEAL training is actually probably the hardest training regimen in the world.
Yeah.
Those guys do incredible things. In fact, I remember I had friends, UFC fighters now, that did the Navy SEAL training, and they're the toughest people I know, and they were just godsmacked at how these SEALs are able to just go do this training and just knock it out, just like bam.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about overcoming all sorts of obstacles. It's not necessarily about building strength or, you know, becoming a better fighter. It's about testing, you know, the spirit of a man.
Oh my gosh, I think they found it. Look at this madness.
That's it. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's the closest they'll ever get, right there.
And it's like a whole, like, it's like a fake victory for them. It's just like when they, that's a decent kick. I'll give that guy some credit. It's just like when they tore down the Confederate statue, and so they rip it down, and then they all run up to it and they start kicking it and punching it, and it's like a total faux victory. It's like, dude, you're hitting an inanimate object.
Yeah.
But they still get a sense of victory from it because they've never had any real victories in life.
Yeah, that's the keyboard warrior mentality. That's how they celebrate. That's their victory right there. Because if they were hitting a real person, they would probably run away.
Look at this is deranged behavior right here. This is genuinely deranged behavior. Look at this woman. If that isn't an example of a human being that needs to be put in a mental institution.
This is their highlight reel right here.
Guys, pull up also the video of the when they tear down the Democrat, or it is a Democrat statue actually. When they tear down the Democrat Confederate statue, so that's just the funny thing. The Democrats are the ones that put all the Confederate statues up. You go look at the history. Seriously, guys, pull up the video where they tear down the Confederate statue, and then they're all running up to it, punching it, like having a victory, like, yeah, we beat the Confederates. The Confederates lost 50 plus years ago. It's like, I don't know. We got 3 minutes left of this segment. Just what do you think comes next with the street protests? I mean, do you think it's going to get worse? Do you think these people are going to realize that they're on the wrong side of history, or how do you think this goes?
You know, what we saw in Portland, I think we're going to keep continuing to see things like that. Maybe not as violent, but I think we're going to start seeing more conservatives show up and push back. And hopefully, yeah, we'll start to see that they realize they're on the wrong side of history right now. And hopefully they'll start leaving in droves like they are the Democratic Party.
Yeah, here's the clip of them taking down the Confederate statue. Now they all get to have their little fake victory. Yeah, spit on it, man. Yeah. Yeah, right on, man. Right on. Yeah. Right on, man. This is a group of deranged lunatics. And, you know, but it's like the same thing I'm saying. I don't want to fight these people. They can go out and be deranged lunatics and do whatever the hell they want. Just stay out of my way. Just quit trying to destroy this country. And if you want to start a fight, it's going to be finished, and it's not going to be finished by you. It's going to be finished by people like Rufio that you couldn't even hurt if he gave you 500 free shots at him. It's just ridiculous to me. There he goes. I mean, but you know, I know that you don't want to go punch these people. That's not what you. I mean, it reaches a point where you have an instinct to defend yourself. But you didn't grow up thinking, oh, I'm going to be a street warrior that's going to fight commies in the street. You didn't. No. Nobody thinks like that. That's the platform they've now given you.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have found me 2 years ago, I would not have ever thought that I'd be out there on the streets doing that. I just didn't think that this is where we would be. You know, I grew up in a part of America where everybody was really, you know, polite to each other, and so to start seeing this stuff happen in the streets was, you know. surprising to say the least.
Well, we were glad to have you here. We're glad that you came to Austin to be in studio with us. And, you know, hopefully you don't have to deal with too much of the radical left doxing you and trying to be violent with you. But I know you're going to fight back. So we appreciate that. And, folks, it's possible to bring people like Rufio here in studio with your support at InfoWarsStore.com. We have big specials going on right now. 50% off top-selling supplements like Brain Force Plus, like Alpha Power, like Super Male Vitality, Vitamin Mineral Fusion, Survival Shield X2, the Real Red Pill Plus, Knockout, DNA Force Plus. It's all 50% off at InfoWarsStore.com. And I'm telling you, nothing angers the left more than you shopping at InfoWarsStore.com. They cannot stop you from doing it. They cannot stop us from getting the funding. That is what angers them more than anything else. So when you go to InfoWarsStore.com and you buy a tube of Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, you have just made CNN that much angrier. We'll be right back. It is an honor to be here with fellow patriots changing the world. Just like in 1776, when it was the United States of America that changed the entire status quo of being a human, where we said, the individual human is independent and can be self-relying. We don't need a king or queen. We don't need an establishment. We don't need a government. We just need freedom. We just need me. We just need independence. Change the world. Change the world for good. Created the most wealth and prosperity the world's ever seen. And now here you are. You know, but the incredible thing about it is you would expect this perhaps from brainwashed sheeple that don't understand history because they were never taught it. So they don't even understand how good they have it because they have no perspective. But for people on television, people in the Democrat Party to go down that same thought pattern is alarming. Look at this clip. Again, and it's like, this is why I stand with Ron Paul and Rand Paul. This is why I'm so proud to be a patriot right now, because I know what history is going to say about these times. We are the people that will once again change the world for the good. Once again say the average individual human can be self-reliant. We don't need a king. We don't need a government. You can do everything. That is America. You're free. You're independent. You're self-reliant. And now they try to wash it all away. Look at how CBS News treats Rand Paul talking about Trump-Putin summit.
Listen, you've heard the avalanche of criticism and negativity, appalling, shameful, disgraceful, shocking. It's coming from all sides, and I'm wondering, you're here this morning, are you doing a cleanup on aisle 3?
Well, you know, I think we ought to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and decide whether or not we want to have conversations with even our adversaries. During the height of the Cold War, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy had a direct line to Khrushchev, and I think the world is a safer and a much better place because we had that line of communication. We had ambassadors. Let me finish my question. If you're going to ask questions, let me finish.
All right, all right.
It was also I think, a good idea that we continue to have ambassadors and diplomatic relations with Russia, even though they are our adversaries.
Senator Paul, I don't think anybody would object to trying to have a good relationship with Russia. I think the problem is that he seemed to throw
Pause it right there. Is she serious? Did she? They're all demonizing Trump. They're all demonizing Putin. They're all demonizing Russia. They're saying Russia's the enemy. And then she's like, well, I don't think anybody wants to not have a good relationship with Russia. That's exactly what you're trying to do. This is... okay, go on.
Community under the bus while doing that. Is there a part of you that wishes? Is there a part of you that wishes?
I think that's incorrect. I think what you just said, that no one would object to him meeting with Putin. Every Democrat on Capitol Hill objected to him meeting with Putin.
Bingo.
Every neoconservative and warmonger on the right also objected to it. So yes, the vast majority of the foreign policy community, the bipartisan consensus, said you shouldn't meet with Putin. They also said he shouldn't meet with Kim. And this is an extraordinary thing about President Trump that should be lauded and not belittled, is that he is willing to meet with adversaries to try to prevent us from having World War III.
Senator, you talked about the Cold War history.
They want a war with Russia.
What was distinct about both President Kennedy, you mentioned, and President Reagan was that they did two things. They both met with America's adversaries, and they were quite clear about America's moral view about the repression of both the Soviet Union and then subsequent to that, Russia now, which most people think is led by basically a dictator. What the president didn't do and is getting criticized for is he did not make that moral case. He basically said in the relationship between the two, both sides are at fault. That's the distinction here, not the whether to have the meeting. So what about that moral piece?
But I don't think you're being fair to the president.
No, they never
so when President Reagan met with Gorbachev, do you think he listed the litany of Soviet abuses from Stalin on in a one-to-one meeting? No, they were listed and recounted by other people in the administration. There have also been people within the Trump administration who have listed and recounted the human rights violations in Russia. But we also have to understand that we have to deal with the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And if we're only going to talk to people who have perfect constitutional republics, we're going to have a very small audience, and we're going to have a lot of potential conflict with no outlet for diplomacy. So, no, I think the president did a good thing by meeting with Putin, and I think it's a mistake for people to try to turn this into a partisan, partisan escapade.
Senator, President Reagan called the Soviet Union the evil empire. Many of his most famous comments are calling out the Soviet Union on its moral shortcomings. So I think that comparison between President Reagan and President Trump is off a bit. But let me ask you this question. It has also been
that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're comparing Russia to the Soviet Union. I mean, that's absurd.
Empire in a press conference with Gorbachev. He also sat down with Gorbachev, and we also had strategic arms limitations. So he actually did, while the rhetoric was strong, you actually might compare that to Trump's rhetoric with North Korea. It's been very strong, but he's been willing to sit down with him. I think there's actually some apt comparisons between Reagan and Trump on the diplomatic front.
The difference here is, Senator, that President Trump is not short about offering criticism to American allies, whether it's on the German gas deal or whether immigration is destroying
Rand Paul to say Trump bad so much. They're just say Trump is bad. Just say he's bad, Rand. Just say it.
In a one-on-one interview, bends over backwards to say nice things about the Russians, and that robs him of an opportunity to make a clear moral case about the distinction between America, which has grown up and had a history of supporting freedom, and the Russian regime, which does not do so. And why not take that opportunity as an American president?
I think what this gets into is that the president has undergone an onslaught of a year and a half of a partisan investigation accusing him of somehow colluding with the Russians. So I think he's sensitive to that. But there's another aspect to the investigation that is a legitimate one, and that is saying, did Russians hack Hillary Clinton's emails? And so there's a legitimate aspect, and then there's a partisan aspect. And we all have now concluded and all understand that the investigation was started by partisans, James Clapper, John Brennan, who started the investigation at the behest of the Clinton campaign, who paid somebody in Russia to come up with a dossier. So really, it's funny that we keep talking about Trump and Russia, when in fact the only person actually known to pay Russian agents was Hillary Clinton, who paid a British spy, who then paid British agents for dirt on, concocted dirt on Trump.
I know we could go down that road again, but I still think the question remains,
we could go down that road, but we don't want to.
American intelligence community under the bus. I still think that's a big question that people are asking, but we're going to have to leave it there, Senator.
One of the reasons for it is James Clapper's a known liar who's lied to Congress. So
so for someone who's for transparency, Senator, a lot of people were outraged that this meeting took place privately. I think that was
an outrage.
Well, but we're going to have to leave it there. We appreciate you.
I'm sorry. We got Rand Paul on here. We were hoping that he would say that Trump is bad, and we pressed him on it, and for 5 minutes we tried to get him to say Trump bad, and he wouldn't say Trump bad. So sorry, Rand Paul, we have no interest in having you on air anymore. Sorry. Unless you want to say Trump bad, Rand. Do you want to say Trump bad? Oh, okay. You don't want to say Trump bad? Okay, sorry. Cut the segment. Cut him off. Cut him off. Cut him off. They're so deranged that they're comparing the Trump-Putin summit to Pearl Harbor. Do you know how offensive that is? And now you're seeing these stories. I can't even find them on my desk. It's fine. Where Trump, here it is. They're trying to say that Trump is walking back his statements, or he didn't go far enough with his statements with Putin. Here's the thing. Here's the subtleties and the nuance about Donald Trump that the media doesn't understand. See, Trump is so much smarter than them and he can see 5 moves ahead. So he knows how to play the chessboard. If Donald Trump would have lambasted Vladimir Putin during the Trump-Putin summit, if Donald Trump would have said, oh, yeah, they were hacking. They're really bad. They were hacking. They meddled. Oh, yeah. If he would have done that, the entire news cycle the next day would have been, look, President Trump admits Russia rigged the election. Look, President Trump admits that he won because of Russia. Look, President Trump admits his presidency is illegitimate. That would have been the narrative. That would have been the talking point. Instead, he knows that if he has a good relationship with Putin, the media will go off their rocker and just go completely psycho and compare it to Pearl Harbor. So Trump outsmarted you again, you anti-American scum. Senator Chuck Schumer is a total dirtbag. And now he says he demands hearings on Trump's meeting with Putin. You know, you've got like real issues happening right now in this country, and the Democrats are ignoring all of them. But here's the key. They're trying to protect their establishment. They're trying to protect their kingdom of screwing over the American people, raping you, stealing your money, funding abortions. Do you know? Look this up. The Planned Parenthood, I believe, has spent $30 million funding Democrats for the midterm election. See if you guys can find that. Why are they getting taxpayer dollars? If you want to abort your baby, that's between you and God, okay? Quit making me pay for it. And then, but there's all these real issues going on. Yeah, there it is right there. Planned Parenthood groups to spend $30 million on midterm elections. So why are we funding Planned Parenthood? So now I'm funding the Democrat Party. So now they take your tax dollars, they fund abortions, and then they fund the Democrat Party that's anti-American. It's honestly just so ridiculous. They're becoming totally unhinged, completely deranged, because Trump's the real deal. The American people are waking up, and their entire kingdom of robbing this country blind is collapsing. That's what this is really all about. The government has become so corrupt and out of control. Trump is actually not corrupt and out of control, and he's destroying the entire corrupt establishment. That's why they're panicking. That's why you have people like Raskin talking out of both sides of their mouth at congressional hearings. Here's Alex Jones breaking it down.
He's a well-known conspiracy theorist whose brand is bullying.
Alex Jones is going to hear this. He's going to say, why is CNN out to get me? Why are you trying to take me down?
And in the weeks after the shooting, Alex Jones's YouTube channel posted a video that was seen by 2.3 million subscribers, alleging that these were merely, that these were actors and not real students who had experienced the most horrific thing anyone could possibly imagine.
What's happened with InfoWars, because they've made a cottage industry out of this. What they do is they deny that these events have happened. Why are they still on Facebook?
You recently decided not to ban InfoWars. Can you explain that decision?
We would continue to remove any violations from the InfoWars page.
Does it stop with Jones, or does it also go transfer to other outlets?
I would love it if you would follow up also about Alex Jones and InfoWars.
I want to know how you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
InfoWars, tomorrow's news today.
They engaged in premeditated defamation. These people are all lawyers. They're very smart. They've defamed me in fake lawsuits they filed, funded by the Democratic Party, knowing they're protected, filing false statements under defamation in lawsuits. And then they do it as members of Congress, protected with immunity for false statements. But some of them made mistakes and made public statements outside of Congress when they're not sitting in their chairs. So I am forced, as I've done with anti-SLAPP suits and other operations to prepare lawsuits, I've sent the tort letters as of today to them. And I've got those letters right here, letting Congressman Dutch and Congressman Raskin know that they are on notice of our lawsuits. I don't want to file these lawsuits, but I cannot continue to allow them to lie. They went in with an ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center script. Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL write a lot of the reports for Soros-run Media Matters, and I know word for word that was Media Matters. And they said, Jones says no one died at Parkland in Florida this year, Valentine's Day, one of my daughter's birthday, and that Jones has bullied them. There's no video, there's no statements.
And in the weeks after the shooting, Alex Jones's YouTube channel posted a video that was seen by 2.3 million subscribers, alleging that these were merely, that these were actors and not real students who had experienced the most horrific thing anyone could possibly imagine. The video violated YouTube's rules against bullying, and it was removed. An article posted to Slate.com describes this as a strike against the channel. Ms. Downs, how many strikes does a channel get?
Typically, a channel gets 3 strikes, and then we terminate the channel.
So the reason I ask is Alex Jones obviously is a well-known conspiracy theorist whose brand is bullying.
Their moderators from Bloomberg, from the Southern Poverty Law Center, Bloomberg reported, falsely made claims that I said nobody died, and then I went and bullied them. David Hogg, a day after the event, started working for the Democratic Party and Soros, flying around on private jets, being anti-gun spokesperson. I said he's a PR man and that he was an actor at the school, part of the drama club, so he's well-spoken, and he's been chosen to be anti-gun. I said I believe people died, and I believed he's a real student. But they misrepresented it and said that I bullied him and said that nobody died, even though he's a public figure. I would have a right to say that. I didn't say that.
When Alex Jones posted the video you described saying that the survivors of the Parkland massacre were crisis actors, that violated our harassment policy. We have a specific policy that says if you say a well-documented violent attack didn't happen, and you use the name or image of survivors or victims of that attack, that is a malicious attack and it violates our policy.
I did not post a video doing that. It was all over the news. They had to remove all the strikes. They were putting strikes on videos that I put up showing what I'd said that I didn't say it. And you got your asses kicked because I had Infowars.com and I had Newswars.com and I was able to counter and show what I said. And that's why you're pissed. So she knows this all full well. It's a huge controversy. So she says, oh, we took down, she re-defames me, says it, and then it continues. Here we go.
Alex Jones posted the video you described saying that the survivors of the Parkland massacre were crisis actors. That violated our harassment policy.
Pause again. They just opened themselves up to defamation, but I know she thinks she's in a congressional hearing can do it. I don't even want to sue these people. Lady, you know who I am. You're obsessed with me. We have Project Veritas internal videos. Because I'm the guy that won't sell out. I'm the guy that stands up against the psychopaths. You're all just the scared leftists that got controlled by them because you're a bunch of Stockholm Syndrome people. So you just defame me again, saying Alex Jones posted it and we took it down. No, I didn't, and you know that. Go back to it.
That says if you say a well-documented violent attack didn't happen.
Back it up to the beginning, Back it up 20 seconds. I'm stopping too much. It's just everything they say is pure crap. I did not put a video up. You will not show it. You will not show the text because you are a fraud. And she knows full well who I am, and she goes, Alex Jones posted this. When she knows full well that they had thousands of articles crap on them when they had to put it back up because their lawyers told them he's got 14 million views on the video countering you on his own server. He's got his own platform. We aren't going to be able to take him down today. Stop it. He's got us. I've got your internal people recorded. I've got videotapes. I got stuff you don't even know about, and you know it. And you're just afraid the president's going to bust up your damn monopoly, which I'm on my knees praying they do. Well, Alex Jones puts out false content. No, that all got reversed. And we want him banned. Why are you so obsessed with me? Because no one else will challenge you. Everyone else didn't have their balls drop.
He launched similar attacks against the families whose 6- and 7-year-old kids were slaughtered at Sandy Hook. And he's not the only one. Truthers have spread these lies, claiming that Sandy Hook never happened at all. In a Slate article, references a study by Jonathan Albright, director of the Tao Center for Digital Journalism at Columbia, who found 9,000 videos on YouTube with titles that are, and I quote, a mixture of shocking, vile, and promotional themes that include rape game jokes, shock reality, social experiments, celebrity pedophilia, false flag rants, and terror-related conspiracy theories dating back to the Oklahoma City attacks in 1995.
So you mix terror-related conspiracies in with false flags when Gulf of Tonkin and all these other things are declassified to be staged. Anybody has a right to question that when it's a history of it. Doesn't mean we always think it's fake. We have to look at it. We hope it never even happened to begin with, but if it does, we look at what really went on.
And terror-related conspiracy theories dating back to the Oklahoma City attacks in 1995.
And plus, again, oh my God, it dates back like Hitler firebombed their Capitol building to bring in martial law February 20th, 1933, and the Night of the Long Knives, or Operation Himmler and Operation Gleiwitz to stage terror attacks on German bases to launch World War II, or the History Channel documentaries that admit the U.S. and British staged false flags for PR purposes, or false flags going back 500 years in the British and Spanish navies. But see, those of us that are informed, they don't want us asking questions. So we got another lawyer saying we need to be shut up because he doesn't like us asking questions because his party is getting its ass handed to it.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
And it's time for humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one!
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Emoji, the image of the Taiwanese flag, it makes your phone crash. Remember 12 years ago, John McCain said, if you hack anybody or you download illegal music, we will fry your computer. We will crash it or maybe even fry it. People said that's outrageous. They already had that technology. Apple's China-friendly censorship caused an iPhone crashing bug, Wired. And it goes on that if you try to send the Taiwanese flag, your iPhone crashes. Well, what happened 5 months ago? Apple officially moved to China to be tax exempt, merged with the government, and they told Reuters, in China, if you are based here, the government runs you. That's just the way it is. And boom, if they can censor a flag in real time, they can do a voice print and ban Alex Jones or President Trump. They can ban words, just like you try to type on your iPhone a cuss word, it won't let you do it. It's beyond that. It's here. And that's the new Article 13, Article 11 the EU's been trying to pass, saying that software by law will be on all devices where you cannot even say or do certain things preemptively. Now, this was such a big blow up for Apple, they had to back off. They said, we apologize. We'll only geolocate if you're inside China. Let that sink in. You've got all these Hollywood programs saying I'm a racist and misrepresenting who I am, defaming me. You've got the very same corporations and calling for me to be shut down so they can lie about me and you, and we don't have a way to speak out or resist it and even counter it. We have them suing us, trying to shut us down. They're trying to shadow ban and block the president, which they're doing on Twitter with his push notifications. Apple and others have moved to China and are now putting the iCloud data keys to everyone's iPhone on their platform and admitting that Chinese intelligence now runs Apple. Most of the universities are run by the Chi-Coms. Hollywood's owned by it. The UFC's being bought up by it. Everything. And I'm just a loyal American sitting here saying it's wrong for an American citizen not to be able to send the Taiwanese flag to somebody because the Chi-Coms that have killed over 100 million of their own people and sell Christians organs because they're Christians on the world market. What, tell me a 30-year-old Christian doesn't have a heartbeat or a soul next, liberals? You're not liberals. You are weak followers that sold out to every form of evil and didn't even get a payoff to do it. You like to watch mainstream news and feel like you're on the winning team. Well, let me tell you something. I'm not here trying to just get along to go along or go along to get along. I'm here to fight the globalist. I'm here to hit the barbed wire. I'm here to expose them. I'm here to never stop, never back down, and win. And thank God Trump's going to Europe and saying, we pay half of NATO. That's not fair. Pay a little more. Hey, China, you got a $900 billion deficit on us. Give us $50 billion. They said no. He goes, 250, 500 billion. Let's go. The days of everybody laying down are over. And all you traitors saying the president's a traitor, you're the traitor. And you're going to lose. Now, don't forget, we've launched, while it's still available, and let them censor it. That's just another victory to show who they are. On iPhone and Android, the official InfoWars app works great. Live video streaming, push notifications, listen without watching, turn the video off. Everything.
Welcome back. You're on the Alex Jones Show, and these are tumultuous times we live in. What we've seen unfold in recent days is nothing less than an all-out assault by the mainstream media and their handmaidens in the Democratic Party in an effort to destabilize a more and more popular and successful president. The mere fact alone of the highly publicized indictments of Russian intelligence officers being timed so as to short-circuit the fallout from the FBI stroke testimony debacle and to shove the collusion hoax right into the forefront of all reporting literally hours before the President of the United States' first important summit with the Russians and their national leader is enough to conclude beyond any reasonable doubt that not only is the Mueller cell corrupt, malintended, and politicized, but this cabal of DOJ and FBI insurrectionist criminals are actually brazen, reckless enough to exploit their corrupt, abusive sham investigation via Mueller's secretive, ambush-style, prosecutorial style. This is nothing less than an effort to sabotage the diplomatic and foreign policy of the undertakings of the President of the United States. Add to this the scripted, coordinated, Greek chorus-like conniption fit of hysterical, hyperbolic, openly seditious mainstream media mau-maus and their defamatory accusations of treason that is completely generated by the CIA-infested propaganda machine we call the mainstream media. These crypto-fascist pundits from the intelligence community and their mainstream media allies spin lie after lie in an effort to make up lost ground. Why? Because the American people are on to Robert Mueller. Because the American people realize that this is a partisan witch hunt which has only one purpose: to undo the results of the last election. Yes, when any time you are criticizing the President of the United States when he is on foreign soil, you are on thin ice indeed. These acts by the seditionists in the mainstream media and in both parties are apparent and despicable. The other thing that I find incredibly despicable are the personal attacks on Congressman Jim Jordan. This is a complete fabrication led by a Democrat-connected law firm in Ohio to try to take out one of the bravest, most courageous Boy Scouts that I know, a man of impeccable integrity. Do not be surprised if you shortly see similar fabricated personal attacks against Congressman Matt Gaetz, Congressman Ron DeSantis, Congressman Trey Gowdy, Congressman Lee Selden. These men are heroes. These men didn't go to Congress to go along, to get along. They are using their positions in government to fight the deep state and to take the Mueller cabal on frontally. And as Jim Jordan's situation demonstrates, they will pay a terrible price in the defamatory attacks on their personalities and characters. Jim Jordan is an innocent man falsely accused in one of the most vicious smear campaigns that I have seen in 40 years in American politics. Also this morning, there are reports that lawyers for Andrew Miller, a former top aide of mine, were in closed session with the chief judge of the District Court of D.C. And lawyers for the Office of Special Counsel. This is presumably the hearing for a motion by Miller's lawyers, headed by the Washington Legal Foundation, questioning the constitutional authority of Mr. Mueller. No report from that all-important hearing, although I have had inquiries from Talking Points Memo, Politico, and others. I don't know what's happening behind closed doors, but I am praying for justice. Also, an interesting article by Phil Bump of the Washington Post. Now, Bump was caught repeatedly lying about Bill Clinton's sexual assaults against women during the 2016 campaign. Mr. Bump is not a journalist. Mr. Bump is a propagandist on the payroll of the Washington Post. Today, he says, Donald Trump is touting mediocre economic statistics. No, the economy is growingly robust. There are, without any dispute, more than 1 million jobs created since Donald Trump became president, 228,000 in May alone. The only thing mediocre here is you, Mr. Bump. You are most mediocre as a reporter. The other big news, which we broke yesterday on the War Room, and this is a InfoWars exclusive, OMB Director Mick Mulvaney will replace General John Kelly as President Donald Trump's White House Chief of Staff. As our friends over at One America Online reported yesterday in a terrific story by Jack Posobiec, we now know that in a complete act of treachery, White House Chief of Staff John Kelly was calling Capitol Hill Republicans and urging them to publicly denounce his boss, the President of the United States, for his conduct of the summit press conference with Putin. If that isn't disloyalty, if that isn't treachery, what is it? If I were president, I would have General Kelly removed forcefully from the premises right now, and I would have his computer and his office locked down. But then I'm not the president. Mick Mulvaney, on the other hand, is not part of the Washington swamp. He hails from South Carolina, an early supporter of President Donald Trump, a man of impeccable integrity whose political views and outlook are uncorrupted by the inside the beltway mentality, which unfortunately has sometimes affected or infected the president's advisors. You're here on the Alex Jones Show. We're breaking news today, but let me remind you, none of this would be possible without your loyal support for InfoWars at the Infowars.com store. We have no big corporate multinational sponsors underwriting our broadcasts. We can only depend on you. But the beauty of that is there is no one in the shadows telling Alex Jones what we can and cannot cover, what we can and cannot say. This is truly independent investigative journalism at its best. Our expansion, our continued fight against the efforts to censor us, which are on full display before the Congress only yesterday, are only possible with your loyal support. Look at the terrific specials we have up at the Infowars.com site now, and you will see what I'm talking about. You have some of our very most popular products, Alpha Power, Brain Force Plus, my personal favorite, now $19.95. That's a terrific price. Survival Shield, the Red Pill. These are extraordinary products of the highest possible quality. How do we know? You can go online and see that we have literally thousands of satisfied customers who know when they go to the Infowars.com store, they not only get the very best in nutraceuticals, but they underwrite the fight for journalistic freedom and the First Amendment. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm your genial host, Roger Stone, and we are the cutting edge. We are the resistance. That's why you saw an extraordinary hearing in Congress yesterday where Democrats who used to believe in the First Amendment and civil liberties now speak openly about the need to gag us, to strangle us, to kill our First Amendment rights and our right to disagree with them and express ourselves. In fact, it's un-American to see congressmen like Ted Deutsch, cavorting around talking about silencing our First Amendment rights. Congressman, I know you're dumb, but try reading the Constitution, the First Amendment part, and maybe you'll understand that America is based on a concept of freedom, and that includes free speech. Joining us later on The War Room will be Congressman Deutsch's opponent, Javier Manieres, the Republican, who is going to discuss the outlandish extremist position of Congressman Deutsch when it comes to censorship. But the stunning admission by Mark Zuckerberg that he favors slow strangulation of InfoWars instead of outright decapitation is an outrage in itself. All one has to do is be on Facebook today, where I have 150,000 followers at the Stone Cold Truth, yet when I post something I have written, I get 2 reposts, 7 reposts, 3 reposts. And then every once in a while, they'll let you have 100 so as not to catch on to their manipulation of the algorithms. These illegal, monopolistic practices have got to be exposed in a court of law. And that is where this fight is going. The fight for censorship will be fought out at all levels, in the streets through peaceful protest, on the net, and in the courts. Not to mention pushing this administration to have the assistant or deputy attorney general for antitrust to bring an immediate action against Facebook, Twitter, Google, Amazon, and others. You see, it's not just the future of InfoWars. It's not just the future broadcasts of Alex Jones or Roger Stone or David Knight or Owen Schroyer or Rob Dew and so many of the other incredibly talented people here at InfoWars. It's the future of Donald Trump and this administration. It's the future of a free and fair election. They worry about Russian hacking. I worry about leftist censorship. You see, 2016 was the first year in which the mainstream media lost their stranglehold monopoly on political discourse. Prior to 2016, when critical mass was finally reached, if it didn't happen on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and sometimes on Fox, well, it didn't happen at all. The rise of a free and open internet gave rise to a robust and alternative media. And that alternative media gave Donald Trump a forum for a counter-narrative to the lies being spread by the networks. You remember those. Hillary Clinton was a sure thing. The odds of her winning, 90%. the extraordinary extent to which the mainstream media went to create an atmosphere in which it was unquestioned that Hillary would win, seeking to create a self-fulfilling prophecy, was extraordinary. And without InfoWars, without Breitbart, without the Daily Caller, without terrific talking heads like Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham and others, and without InfoWars being in the vanguard, the election of Donald Trump would just never have been possible. Now, they would like to run the 2018 elections and the 2020 elections without our voices. And it's important that our fellow conservatives understand we at InfoWars are the test case. We go first. If they decapitate us, they're coming for Sean Hannity. They're coming for Tucker Carlson. They're coming for Laura Ingraham. They're coming for Michael Savage. They're coming for Rush Limbaugh. They're coming for Breitbart, the Daily Caller, and so many other conservative outlets like the Gateway Pundit and so many others. This is the way in which we are not only the tip of the spear, but we are the test case. So object to the censorship of InfoWars or face the same censorship yourself in the days ahead. This would be a spectacular time to remind you that we need your support in this epic war against censorship. You have no idea the millions of dollars it will cost Alex Jones and InfoWars to fight the malicious, baseless harassment lawsuits that have been filed against InfoWars across the country. These stories, these lawsuits have two purposes. One is to generate vicious negative headlines that can then be cited in turn as the basis for silencing our voices at YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on. It is going to cost literally millions of dollars to fight this Soros-funded onslaught against InfoWars. We cannot do it alone. Therefore, I ask you to go to the InfoWars site now and find the location where you can make a contribution. If you're not in the market for one of our great nutraceuticals, if you're not looking for any of our great First Amendment-oriented T-shirts, if you don't want to buy my terrific book, Stone's Rules, at a very special price, well, then do the next best thing. Go to the donation portion of the site and send us $50 or $100 or $250 or $500. Yes, some InfoWarriors have sent as much as $1,000 or more. Why? Because they know that this is the single most important challenge we face. Whether we win in 2018 and 2020, whether we can keep the new American Revolution going, whether the free ideas expressed here at InfoWars are allowed to continue, are really up to you. The entire question is up to you. We need your support. We do not exaggerate the stakes or the dangers. We are not crying wolf. This is an all-out war of censorship, an effort to strangle our First Amendment rights. It was there on full display on the House floor of Congress yesterday. Please go to the Infowars.com site now and support us with your dollars. And there you have the president's most effective lawyer, former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who I think has done a superb job of getting the president off of defense and on offense and calling out the criminality of James Comey, Robert Mueller, and the other deep state spooks who operate without any constitutional oversight whatsoever, answering only to the traitor, Rod Rosenstein. Mr. Rosenstein is the man who signed the unconstitutional FISA warrant that was used to spy on the Trump campaign. That is a crime for which Mr. Rosenstein must be prosecuted. This is just the beginning of an epic clash, ladies and gentlemen. But anyone who read the indictment laid out last week by Mr. Rosenstein needs to be reminded, as I was forced to remind Chris Cuomo the other night on CNN. An indictment is an unproven accusation by the government. It is not an undisputed fact. You can say Guccifer 2.0 is a Russian asset as many times as you want to say it. That does not make it a fact certified in a court of law. And in fact, if that question goes to trial, the government is likely to lose. I would call Ray McGovern as a witness, the former counterintelligence IT expert. I'd call Bill Binney. I'd call the experts to prove definitively that when Rod Rosenstein says that Guccifer 2.0 is indisputably a Russian, he's full of exactly. Now, it is amazing how the mainstream media memes, the screaming memes, the Voxes, the Daily Beasts, and the other garbage media, such as raw garbage, as I call them, continue to say Roger Stone's indictment in connection with the hacking of the DNC is imminent. In fact, some numbskull named Barbara McQuade, first of all, said on MSNBC that I was too cheap to pay $2 million to an FBI informant who tried to set me up and sell me so-called negative information on Hillary Clinton, but now writes that I am subject to a Klein conspiracy indictment. Hey, Barbara, where did you go to law school? Are you sure you ever passed the bar? Because you see, to be subject to a Klein conspiracy, one had to either be involved in the hacking of the DNC, I wasn't, or the dissemination of the information that was allegedly obtained. I also wasn't. There is no evidence to the contrary, but I'm going to see your fat derriere in court, baby, because that's defamation. Where does MSNBC get these morons? Let's take Nick Ackerman, for example. He touts himself as a former Watergate prosecutor. No, he's a loudmouth, a blowhard, a buffoon, a jackass. He wouldn't know one end of the law from the other. Yet he continues to say, former President Richard Nixon approved the break-in in advance. We've just never been able to find the proof. No, Nick, I just called you out. You're a fall-flushing phony. You have no evidence of that. It's a smear, just like everything you say to me. Anytime, Nick, you want to come on InfoWars, mano a mano, on the Alex Jones Show, on the War Room, I challenge you. I call you out. You don't have the stones. You don't have the guts to face me one-on-one. You're an august attorney, but I'd still kick your butt because you lie like a rug. MSNBC, folks, is the epitome of fake news. Ari Melber will be proven to be a drooling moron when the so-called Klein indictment never comes. No wonder nobody's watching. I do want to say once again that we have a special here that we're running for InfoWarriors only. If you go to the Infowars.com site now and you buy my new book, Stone's Rules, which is a field manual for victory, and anyone who is in business, politics, media, fashion, agriculture, tech, you name it, these are rules for life, rules that will guide you to victory and success. This book is not just for conservatives or libertarians or Republicans or free thinkers or Trump supporters. This is a book that can be enjoyed and can be beneficial for anyone. And if you buy it at the Infowars.com site now and you mail it to me with your receipt proving that you purchased it through Infowars, I will personalize it, autograph it, and mail it back to you at my own expense. If you want to return, include the return postage, I'd be happy to accept it. But this is a special offer open to Info Warriors only. You can buy the book at Amazon. You can buy the book at Barnes & Noble, and I wouldn't object. But if you buy it at InfoWars, I will proudly and gladly send it back to you signed. Here's the address where you can mail your book. It's a P.O. Box to Roger Stone, 1007 North Federal Highway, number 166, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33304. No, David Brock, there's no point in showing up at that address. It's a mail drop. But if you will mail your book there, I will proudly sign it and mail it back to you. Again, this offer is open to Info Warriors only, those who purchase my terrific new book at the InfoWars site today. I signed almost 80 books last night, and they went out in the mail this morning. It was my pleasure to do so, and we are current. There is no backlog. So the instant we get your book, I sign it and get it back out the door. You can help InfoWars, you can help me, you can help the Stone family, and you can give yourself a road manual, a list of maxims and axioms and rules of the road that have led me to success in the political arena. The very rules that I will use to overcome the witch hunt being launched against me by Robert Mueller. And while we're on the subject, my legal costs have run me over $500,000 so far, and still Robert Mueller and his gumshoes are in every microscopic molecule of my being, examining my personal life, my private life, my business activities, my political activities, in what can only be called an inquisition. My legal costs are out of control, and they threaten to bankrupt me and my family. Online stories that say I'm worth $20 million are planted to dissuade you from contributing. So please, go to StoneDefenseFund.com, StoneDefenseFund.com. Every penny you send will be used for my legal defense. I'm not going down easy. I will go down fighting if I go down at all. But I need your loyal support to do it. Again, StoneDefenseFund.com. And while you're at it, go by the Infowars.com site, because they need a war chest too to fight the phony lawsuits that are being launched against us in an effort to make sure that Roger Stone has no forum to defend himself when the thugs come for me. I'm Roger Stone. You're on The Alex Jones Show, and we'll be right back.
This is the heart of 1776. You're a white male!
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
We pledge allegiance to one flag, and that flag is the American flag.
InfoWars helped fuel the rumor that President Obama is an ISIS supporter.
It's been a cozy relationship from the beginning. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot. Donald Trump and Alex Jones.
This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
Waging war on corruption. It's
Alex Jones.
Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone. Let me remind you that I'll be back on The War Room at 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to be taking your calls. And now, a special report from Alex Jones, followed by a special report from John Bowne.
I've been telling you for 2 years, the Democratic Party plan announced by Hillary just months before she lost to Donald Trump, was to demonize InfoWars, misrepresent what we've said, because we were seen as the tip of the spear of Americana and its resurgence. Then use that demonization to label all other conservatives, libertarians, nationalists, Christians, you name it, and deplatform everyone from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, which are about 80% of the worldwide web traffic. CNN announced on Thursday that they had met with other so-called media companies and other so-called journalists and professors of journalism, and we're asking Facebook why we weren't completely banned. Facebook then said, look, we already restrict 80% of conservatives' posts. That's the number I told you previously, because we can actually see it on a graph. It's not just me, it's everybody. Diamonds and Silk, it's 97% because they're so lovable, they're so funny, and they're not negative. They're even more effective than I am, so they're 97% banned. They had congressional hearings 2 months ago on it. So you've got CNN, the kings of fake media, kicking all this off Thursday, covering it. And then you had the Washington Post, the New York Times, New Yorker Magazine, all of them weigh in and say, yes, totally ban anyone that is a conspiracy theorist. That's anyone that says they're liars. You know, like we said that they'd given the debate questions at CNN to Hillary beforehand. Of course, it came out in WikiLeaks, but you could see she'd been given them beforehand. Well, it was all studied and ready, and she instantly answered with a canned-prepared statements. You can see when something's rigged. Mama didn't raise a fool. Just like I told you, some of her town halls were fake. I know 80 millimeter when I see it. I know fake when I see it. You know a Hollywood movie because of the production quality. It's so real, it isn't real. Months later, came out indeed, it was totally fake with hired actors. So they're mad that we're covering this. And then they say, we got to deplatform him. Well, Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out and said, really, CNN is supposedly the policeman that's going to run all this? Seriously, if someone is going to lead the charge against fake news, shouldn't they be a lot more credible than CNN? Then they said Donald Trump Jr. endorsed InfoWars. More deception by CNN. When all he did was say, you shouldn't be the arbiter and list what is news or what isn't news. Because again, even Facebook said, look, one person's fake news is somebody else's news. The media's in a war. The liberals put out fake news. Conservatives put out fake news. But then they added, but don't worry, InfoWars posts are dialed back 80%. They went on to say, really, actually, it's more than that. Only if you go to the page do you see it. We don't let people share it, and if they do, we penalize them, which is social engineering. So the censorship's here, and the smarter, corrupt tech giants like Google and Facebook are in the news saying, shut up. This is racketeering we're involved in. In fact, I am, quite frankly, pinching myself, thinking maybe this is virtual reality, like Total Recall, and I'm just playing some video game where, you know, I'm the hero fighting the evil eugenicist globalists who are trying to censor everybody and poisoning the water with fluoride. But then it's all real and it's really happening.
Sacha Baron Cohen has always been a controversial enigma, supported by those opposed to the establishment via his injection of himself into the geopolitical narrative with his parade of characters intended to disrupt the hypocrisy.
Eccentric and with unlimited oil wealth, he recently hosted his own Olympic Games.
On your mark, get set.
Now, Cohen has become the hypocrisy.
Much appreciation for how you've always spoken out on behalf of veterans. What led you to believe that you were going to talk about that with the person that was going to interview you?
Well, it was proposed to me as a legitimate interview to speak about veterans issues in our military and current events to a new audience. It just got worse and worse and worse as the minutes went on in this bizarre, really embarrassing, humiliating interview that, you know, it mocked middle-class Americans. It mocked our values. It mocked the disabled. And it just got worse and worse. And, you know, it was occurring to me, whatever this show is, whatever this interview really is all about humiliation and devaluing middle-class Americans whom I represent. So, yeah, I said enough was enough, and I took off my mic and I walked out.
From an InfoWars mock-style site, Cohen responded as his new alter ego. I am Dr. Billy Wayne Ruddick, founder, CEO, accountant of truthbrary.org, and it was I that interviewed you, Ruddick writes.
If they tune in, well, the ill-gotten gains by CBS and Showtime, those, I say, need to be donated to people who deserve the gains.
Ruddick asked Palin, so why hunt a fine citizen journalist like myself? I demand an apology. Cohen has dumped his waning career and a percentage of his fans to join a roster of InfoWars mock site clones that eventually end up in the trash dump of history.
You're a guy posing like you're like a journalist. You're a wannabe comedian.
Wait, sorry, who are we describing here?
I'm talking about you.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So are you
basically actor pretending to be a journalist?
Yes, that's right. You're an actor pretending to be a journalist, pretending to be a comedian. So you can sit there and confuse your audience like you're a news show.
I don't think a person putting on a big performative show and claiming to be a journalist would get much of a following.
Oh yeah, really. But this is all about being snarky. The whole point is you're fake news, and that's why you're falling apart. So keep misrepresenting. The thinking people in this country know what's going on.
Just trying to feed me like a hamster.
Come on.
If you were the real Alex Jones, I would eat that pill. Okay. But I'm just not sure you're the real Alex Jones. I'm not sure about it.
I'm not sure you're like an animatronic robot from Chuck E. Cheese. What you look like.
Expectantly, Cohen will insult real Americans and real American values increasingly foreign to a far left and Chinese-owned Hollywood. This could possibly result in the conclusion that Cohen will no longer be allowed to set foot again in the United States.
Kazakhstan is the greatest country in the world. All other countries are run by little girls.
Well, my idea is to come out with just like these ice cream gloves that make the ice cream not go on your hands and make it all well sticky, and also keep your hands warm when you is eating the ice cream.
Okay.
Is you win or is you win?
Okay, well, it sounds like a good idea, and I hope you make a lot of money. Good luck, folks. It's been nice seeing you. You take care of yourself, okay?
You have a couple of jokes about Donald Trump, which I'm not going to spoil.
Well, it's a fairy tale ending, so Donald Trump contracts HIV at the end.
Many may initially tune in to witness the outrage, but ultimately Cohen's audience is the far left bubble of Hollywood and what remains of MSNBC and CNN's audience, dying media dinosaurs ridiculing the very people who fought and died for their freedoms and inherent success.
If I could give you a Purple Heart, I would. You deserve one. This has been an attack on you in a way to attack Mr. Mueller and the investigation that is to get at Russia collusion involved in our election.
That hearing today was 10 hours of travish mockery. A travesty wrapped in a sham, wrapped in a mockery. Not my word, but it fits. You had the angry Republicans who didn't make the case that bias tainted the probe, the high dudgeon Democrats who have contempt for the other side.
Frankly, Cohen is nothing less than an entitled Englishman jealous of the fortitude of the American people, while his hometown of Hammersmith, London, England, swiftly becomes a Sharia law no-go zone and is the pitiful hypocrisy in all of this. John Bound reporting for Infowars.com.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
I'm a nasty woman.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
InfoWars comes to mind. Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. Alex Jones.
There's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website InfoWars.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with fully automatic weapons.
Dr. Martin Luther King
has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
JFK was shot from the back and the front.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control. UFOs.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bankers in charge?
Israel claims the attack was accidental, but some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow.
Russian scum!
Denied everything. He called it all fake news.
And he accused CNN of being fake news.
This is a national emergency.
If they kill Trump or remove Trump, it will cause a massive civil war in this country.
This was a FEMA high-level alert.
We are at war with Russia.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
The White House and the president are citing InfoWars.
If they can shut us down, you're next.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
Extendowise, the latest product from InfoWarsLife.com, fuses all the known compounds that have been proven to be good for our hearts and cardiovascular system. And listen, everybody's got a heart. Well, actually, maybe Hillary and George Soros don't, but everybody else has a heart, and this product is amazing. So, if you have a heart and you want the very best product out there that's designed to aid a healthy heart and cardiovascular system, it's Extendowise, available at InfoWarsLife.com. And like all of our products are game changers, this baby is the most souped up, awesome version the top formulators could come up with and still be affordable. It's one of the very best heart pills out there. It's Extendowise. So get some for yourself and family and friends. It's got the very best fish oil from the fjords. It's very, very pure, very, very clean, and has the EPA type that is specifically good for the heart, cardiovascular system. It's got the properly formulated type of CoQ10 and more. It is Extendowise, now available at InfoWarsLife.com.